The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, Week 14. Spread picks, game previews, injuries, superlocks, free money, which is not necessarily free money. In fact, one of our good pals of the show, NYC Punter, has thinking we should just change it to dead money teasers. But hey, it will be given out either way. I do want to let everyone know to smash that like button. Smash that like button. Leave your Draftkings handle in the comment section and let us know over the holidays and then into January. We're going to try to film some stuff ahead. So for the golf season or potentially other shows that we could do, could be favorite movie rankings, that kind of thing. Let us know some shows that you would like to see from the Pat Mayo Experience heading in over the holiday season into the new year that we can put in the can to make sure that no one is left out in the dust. New shows every day over the holidays. That's how we do it around here. We don't leave you in the lurch. We got to have new content. Also, if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, if you leave a review, 5 stars, say something nice about the show, leave your Draftkings handle, you are in a draw for 20 DK dollars when are announced on Monday's show. However, Sunday show live 10 a.m. Eastern time on the Draftkings YouTube channel, on the DK Live app, on my Facebook, Periscope, and Twitter. You can watch it all there. Geoff Fienberg laughing already. You were tuned in to this Sunday show.
Fortunately, I was, because Tim continues to give a gem.
So let's actually, I know a lot of people far more people listen and watch to this show than they do to the Sunday live show. It's only, live for 3 hours in terms of like actionable information.
Yeah.
The game's
and a lot of people also like know who they want to start
by then,
and
yeah.
they don't want to,
Although I would say it's very valuable information to know who not to take by listening to me.
No, I enjoy the show. I catch myself just tuning in, even now that you can go live and like watch it on Twitter while I'm like just
big change. That's really helped people watching the show.
Mucking around on Sunday morning before things get real serious. And I felt bad for Tim. Nothing to do with where we'll be going. But you like goad him into a bet that even though it's not an unfair bet, the bet's very fair. He's adamant about not like letting himself get goaded into bets, even if they're fair bets. He doesn't want to take part in that anymore because he's probably lost a lot of money because he makes a lot of really dumb bets, like the one, Patriots for even money to win the division. And I'll give Tim credit. I think he might have like every division right in the league, but the one he was confident the Patriots wouldn't win.
The only one you put money on.
So yeah, I felt bad for Tim because you bully him into making a bet that he subsequently loses. When you could tell like he really didn't want to, and you really just like wouldn't lay off him, and you got him, Pat.
I did. I would
him.
like to thank the Twitter mafia out there for bullying Tim into the bet. That was I think my chicken noises also helped. But the big revelation from the Sunday show was this:
Does Tim meet the minimum age requirement as a mall walker?
I mean,
there isn't an age requirement.
Physically, no. Emotionally, yes.
They have a mall walking group at the mall I go to.
What is the average age of that mall walking group? Take yourself out of it.
It's an older demographic. Much like the swimming class.
Do they think you're really cool?
Over under 70 and a half as the average.
It's an older demo, like the swimming class I want to join. It's an older demo.
Yeah, he wants to aqua-size body pump.
It's called Gentle Aqua Fit.
Oh, God. You triggered poor Paul behind the camera.
Oh, my God.
Gentle body fit.
Aqua Fit.
Aqua Fit.
Oh, sorry. Geoff, did it encourage you to join Gentle Aqua Fit?
Sunday was a magical day. Sunday night was a magical night. But when it all ended, Gentle Aqua Fit might have been power ranked as my favorite thing from Sunday. And Tim is just someone, like even my buddies were messaging me, like they're like how they caught themselves just like laughing out of nowhere over the last couple of days. Cause like
thinking about
when they
Gentle
thought
Aqua
about
Fit?
it. And I'm like, Tim's just the best. Cause he's so harmless and innocent, but it's so freaking funny. Cause all the guy wants to do is, do some water aerobics, but there's no good way to water aerobics in the middle of a weekday afternoon. You're going to be with
90-year-old.
Yeah.
Who might be in better shape than you. Who knows? You got Jack LaLanne in there.
It.
I don't even know. So the third member of the team, the guy who was in first place in making the picks, the coin Coin, always tail the coin. It had a rough few weeks, but now it's pulled back into the lead. And we'll get to that in a second. Let's introduce the fourth member of the show, the advocate for gentle Aqua Fit. It is Tim Undergust.
Tim Undergust.
That is not my name.
Heard it was.
No, you didn't.
I did. Everyone says it to me all the time.
I don't think everyone says anything to you all the time.
All the time.
I don't believe you.
If you ever left your house, unless it was going to Gentle Aqua Fit, because those people can't watch things on the internet, Tim.
As I said on the show,
they don't know
I
who
am
you
looking
are.
Yeah, they don't know who he is.
I said on the show, I'm looking into joining it. I haven't actually joined because the times don't greatly match up with my schedule, but I want to join.
So what time does Gentle Aqua Fit start? I mean, for the people that are going, I'm guessing like 7 a.m.?
No, they don't do like rush hour.
No, it's like mid-morning during the week.
Yeah,
Like
it's like 10:30, and then
But,
it's like
it's not
they
it's
probably
not a
have
competitive thing, right? It's just a time where, like, win or lose, I'm just happy with the hustle and the heart that everyone puts out there in the pool.
it's not even funny. He's just an idiot.
Okay.
Like he tries to like. I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm laughing because. Okay, he wants to get out of Gentle Aqua Fit by going there, and he made me laugh.
When we stop doing our Sunday live shows at 10 a.m., so Tim is not required to be on them, then he can start doing Gentle Aqua Fit. There's your solution.
I mean, for like the 7 people that know what that joke was about, just that's sort of an inside joke. If you weren't following Twitter.com,
no, it's in my notes.
We'll get to that.
I'll
I
get
assumed
to
it was.
we
So I
have-
wanted to jump the queue on you.
We have a lot of time to
I don't
throw it off
wanna-
track this week.
I don't want to leave Gentle Aqua Fit. Now, does anyone from your mall walk group, are they in Gentle Aqua Fit? Is that where you heard about it from?
No, I was researching various classes that I could take at this new fitness center I've joined, and I saw that and thought that would be interesting. I'm trying to find a way to fit it into my schedule
Now,
because I want to start slow and then work
like
up.
you think
to more
there'd be like
competitive.
listen, I'm not besmirching anybody trying to, get in shape, and water aerobics is they say is like actually very good.
Yeah.
And with all these like
who's they?
No, it's just like a very I think that's like a well documented fact.
I think like swimming is. I think there's a reason 90-year-olds do the water aerobics.
I don't know. I think like walking in the water, like I don't know. I think for like 5 minutes walking in the water in those like types of pools is like probably the equivalent of like maybe triple that on land. I could be wrong.
Are we sure it's not Gentile Aqua Fit, just designed to keep Geoff out?
Oh, but wouldn't it be equally as funny if Tim was in like some like new age hipster millennial like Aqua Fit
That
class?
sounds more like him based on everything else he's doing these days. Living in a loft, getting these like super weird lattes that we looked into have like, what is it, like 60 grams of sugar, Tim?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the big ones do. I just get the regular tall size.
I've never seen you get a regular size anything.
Well, with a latte though, it's just too much if you have that big of one. I like the small size you get at Starbucks.
Okay.
It's called a juniper latte, and it's got sage in it and juniper sugar, and it's lit.
There we go. He's using words like lit all of a sudden. He calls his mentions menchies on Twitter.
I heard that on Sunday's really like.
It's really off the rails.
I'm gonna start tuning in more because I tuned in last week and there were like 4 gems.
Yeah. And then we ban people for life from the chat. People are big fans of that. Tim wants to ban everyone from the chat. But let's get into last week. Poor week for the 3 of us. I was 5-11 because that's how my season's going. I'm now a brisk 17 games behind Tim. I'm probably not going to catch him, but unlike Tim, I'm not going to concede and just give up. I'm going to fight this to the very end to see if I can gain 17 games against the spread against Tim over the final 4 weeks. So I'm 79-104. Tim is 96-87. Geoff is 97-86 after a 7-9 week. Tim was 6-10. And the coin jumps out 10-6 last week. 100. First one to hit triple digits. 183 against the spread. Meaning,
Do you think you'll hit triple digits by year's end?
I probably, you know what? I'll
Yeah,
probably
you
get to
will.
triple digits.
Yeah, of course. There's
mean-
no bye weeks.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
14,
I guess
15,
that's right. There's
16.
16.
There's you.
I need to go I need to go just better than. I need to go 5.25
Yeah.
wins every
Then
week
fair
to
enough.
get to
You'll
100.
get it.
I mean, listen, don't leave it to me. I could get underneath 100 wins here for the season.
The coin's biggest advantage is that it didn't watch the game like last week's games.
It doesn't watch anything. It's an inanimate object.
So triggered by the coin. Oh,
No, I'm not triggered by
I
it.
Oh,
did-
sorry, because I was worried someone out there thought the coin watched the games.
I mean, it might. It was in that Royal Tenenbaums photo that someone sent us.
That was excellent. That person is a creative genius.
So
The whole thing is genius.
on that point, the Custy Awards will be happening again this year. The second annual Custy Awards. And there's obviously we can't do the historic Anderkirks again because there was a tie last year and there wasn't that much history made this year. But one of the new categories is Best Photoshop of the Year involving Tim. So if you have a Photoshop out there that you remember or you saved, or you can just go back and download and send it. If you send it to thecustyAwards@gmail.com, it can be in the running for Best Tim Photoshop of the Year. I think like Brian and Jesse, the two that generally photoshopped him into most things, will probably have a huge advantage of this. We'll give them credit when credit is due, but anyone can send it to that. And the Dear Custy, if you do, to dearcusty@gmail.com, and you have a life problem, Tim, we got a lot of these piling up. And anyone,
Well, again, this is part of the responsibility I have as the People's Tribune to give them advice and recommendations about what to do with problems they have. I'm happy to do it.
Now, some people are having like fantasy football questions thrown in there. Just leave that shit at home. No one gives a shit about that.
No.
We want like real life problems here. Like my coworker is mean to me, Tim. What do I do?
Yeah.
There's a guy that doesn't wash out his cup at work. What do I do? That sort of stuff is what we're looking for.
Or like
dear-
I've never fished, and my father-in-law's like taking me on a trip, and I've like lied about being this great fisher or something. Like,
Exactly.
something like awesome like
think
that.
Dear Abby, but just send it to dearcusty@gmail.com. Did you know that Dear Cust at gmail.com was taken?
Well, yeah, because that's an abbreviation for customer for a lot of
Just like
companies,
when people get their receipt and they get the cast copy. That's never good.
I want to, because I don't want to spend too much time on it, but last
No,
week,
we should spend more time on it. What I'm thinking is I had someone tweet at me earlier this week that, we don't get to the stuff away. So I told them to fuck off. And so we'll just spend whatever time we want to.
Well,
People want to hit the description and see the time codes. They can just do that instead.
last week you kind of put me on the spot for like my favorite like Tim moment of the season. You decided yours was when he laughed like the Mr. Peanut joke. And he just lost his mind.
He just cracking his chair, Tim.
Well, he doesn't have a waist. That's right.
And I like and said, I was like, I gotta think about it because I don't want to copy. And for me,
I think it's Gentle Aqua Fit for you.
no, Gentle Aqua Fit. This was, but I thought of this before, I guess, maybe even watching the Sunday morning show. It has to be when he was adamant that with the computer, when he couldn't get the program, and he was like so adamant that he had it, but the window was just minimized, and then he threw butts under the bus, like though no one could help me. Like I've like hook, line, and sinkered this whole thing. There's an unfixable problem here, and it's because he doesn't like know the minimize button. Or
For me, in the year 2008, the best two moments were Geoff threatening to throw himself down the stairs, or at least
Yeah,
thinking
that was good.
through throwing himself down the stairs.
I'll own
and
that.
To toot my own horn, my interview with Louis Anderson at the Super Bowl.
That's the best.
That was pretty good. Did you just call
That's
it?
an-
Did you just say it was 2008?
No, I think it's
2018. Sorry.
Yeah.
If I did, I
Well,
misspoke.
that Louis thinks it's in its own like category.
Yeah, it was just like the Tim
The
me versus
greatest-
Tim at the
yeah.
combine.
That was like the greatest thing you ever put out.
Do you think?
No offense.
Do you think that Louis Anderson does Gentle Aqua Fit?
And people actually ask me if they're cousins?
Yeah, I keep telling them
Like,
yes.
literally, it's one of random people like come say hi about the show. More than like 5 times I've been asked, are you related to Louis Anderson?
I am not in any way. To give the very brief backstory, like I said hi to Louis. We got ready to do the interview. I didn't tell him my last name. He didn't know what my last name was. So I start the interview, I mention my last name, and then just, I don't know, he's a comedian, so he's used to acting quickly. It's like, oh, Rita's son. And I thought, oh no. I have lost control of this interview, and I am 3 seconds in, and I am not going to be able to recover. And so I just rolled with it the rest of the way.
And you had never interviewed anyone before.
Not in that sense. No, never.
So that it was a good save by you.
So, I mean, I had to do what I could to salvage it, but I knew in the back of my head, this has gone completely off the rails, and there's no way I'm going to be able to get this back on the tracks.
SUPERLOCKS last week, Geoff and I both lost. Tim hit his. That ties Tim and I at 6-6-1 for the season. Geoff, you're 8-5. The free money teaser was over like halfway through Thursday, so that's no fun. So the dead money teaser from last week, 3-11 for the year. Let's talk the Thursday night game for this week. It is a good one, folks. Jags at Titans, -5 Titans, 37.5. The over-under. I got really nothing to say about this game. It was 9-6 the last time. Tennessee's beaten Jacksonville 3 times in a row. Although Jacksonville's D looking ferocious the past 2 weeks. Did them well last week. Shutout. They should have beat Pittsburgh. Maybe they're on the up and up with Cody Kessler. Who knows? Geoff, who you got?
That's all fair points. I just saw a weather report, and there's like snow on the field there. So it's supposed to be a cold one. I feel like I'm laying an extra 1.5 than I probably should, but I'm going to lay it anyway. Give me Les Titans.
Les Titans for Geoff. Les Titans for the coin. Tim, you?
Titans team is such trash. They had no right to win last week. They're not going to win this week. I think they're going to lose to the Jaguars. Their defense is still as good as it gets. This game is Thursday Night Football personified in its most quintessential form. Jaguars-Titans is Thursday Night Football. And so, just for that reason, I expect a dour 13-10, 6-3 sort of game. But I will take Jacksonville to win the game.
I'll take the Titans just to continue rolling. If you use the AFC South flow chart, just like how we ended up on the Jags last week against the Colts. Jags always play the Colts super tough. And Tennessee always plays Jacksonville super tough. 5's a bit much, but I just don't see what the Jags score. The Jags probably score 6 points again. I think that the Titans can get to 13, hopefully.
Listen, Frank Wright had chances to kick 4 field goals, and they could have won that game 12-6.
Could have.
Yeah, that was a classic game where field goals, you needed them because points were going to be at a premium. That was clear by the second quarter, and passing on those field goals in that instance was actually malpractice.
Yeah, and I don't really care to talk about this game, but that in general, I do agree with your assessment. And Frank Wright stuck to what you stand by. If you're going for it, go for it. I get that. But when you're playing like such an inexperienced, crappy quarterback.
So what you're saying is that game situation should have taken over.
Yeah, I feel like you just kind of like extend the game. Like you're the better team, and it's a best of 5 or 7, and you lost the first quarter. Like, I don't know, you just make it 6-3. You just make it 6-all. You just I don't know. You don't. It's not a focal point to be as aggressive, maybe as if you're playing the Chiefs or the Patriots or the Chargers or a lot of teams. So, I don't know. It's easy to say second guess, and I really love what they've done there.
He gets one of those, they score a touchdown, they win 7-6.
And you know what? We got kind of greedy in the sense that you both called Jacksonville, and I said I just wish this team had a pulse because it was the perfect spot game for the Colts after that great winning streak. They haven't played on the road in forever, and a last second or whatever victory, come back at home. That's a spot game and a half, and I love one, so I feel silly. I missed it, but the Titans at home, I don't know.
Atlanta at Green Bay to kick off the 1 p.m. slate for Week 14. The Packers, Saul's coach, now with your buddy, Geoff, the Owl.
Baby Owl.
Baby Owl's back. Joe Philbin, now coaching. Regis' son, the Green Bay Packers. 5.5-point favorites at home. 49.5 is the over-under for this game. Do we get the pissed off Aaron Rodgers? Has he been sandbagging it here for 2 months?
I mean, my pick has nothing to do with the Packers, and I'm taking them. It's got everything to do with Atlanta, and that not only is their defense bad, their offense can't seem to score anymore. And now you're taking a team who's checked out to go on the road into Lambeau when it's freezing cold, and people just want to not get hurt and want to get home. The Packers may have some inspiration trying to rally around. Who knows? I honestly don't care who Atlanta was playing this week. I was taking the other team and the points. So I'm taking the Packers because I'm completely off the Atlanta bus right now. That team is just, like I said, they're calling cards. They can't even play those right now.
Well, you're
So
not
I don't
taking
know how you.
points though.
I don't know how you possibly take the Falcons.
Falcons might be my super lock.
See, I like the Falcons in this matchup too. Here,
They can finally. They've played a lot of games recently. Their last three,
they
in
have.
particular.
A lot of these teams have
Oh,
played a
sorry.
lot of games recently.
Blah, blah, blah. Baltimore, the
But I'll say
Saint
this.
game. Okay, you can finish.
He's
I'm
giving you
just
the I'll
making
say
fun of
this.
you.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. That was you. The Saints game, they really moved the ball a lot. They just fumbled. Seemed like walking into the end zone.
According to Tim, they should have won that game. Remember that from last
They
week?
could've.
Okay, so
They
fair.
definitely could've.
Now they play two defenses incredibly stymied, especially against the pass, the Cowboys and the Ravens in this little stretch here, and they've gotten held in check big time. They're going to be able to move the ball in the air, kind of at will here. I like this. I actually saw it open at 6.5, and I paid a little bit and bought it to 7. So I'm on Atlanta, but even at 5.5, I still like Atlanta, and I might be considering it when we talk at the end. Rodgers made a big deal going into last week that like we're gonna win all these games going out.
They didn't.
So now I feel like it's just
Aaron Rodgers is fake news. He's a liar.
dead men walking there.
So the thing for me in this game, Julio and Calvin Ridley both didn't practice on Wednesday. So, I mean, checking the injury report on this would be good. And like you said, you found it earlier in the week a bit. I mean, that's always the best time. If you think that you're super sharp at picking these
I'm not.
lines, and I'm not, but I'm just saying in
Just
general.
sometimes they stand out. Like,
Yeah,
you
you
could
just check it like Sunday night, Monday morning to see what the opening lines present you, because they're usually way different than even what they are like a day later. That if you think you can see some value early, you can hit that right away. There's a game that I should have done it with right away, and now I missed out on that number because I'm not super sharp, so it didn't happen to me. But it probably is a good time to remind everyone that the odds and lines are subject to change. See website for actual odds, and if you or anyone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, go 1-800-GAMBLER. The Packers came out and said that Joe Philbin could be coaching to see if he's the head coach next year. He could actually become the head
That's
coach.
just like
It could happen. So-
organizational speak when you fire
Sure.
your coach with a month left.
Maybe. Or
Yeah, exactly.
this is a serious comment and
It's
they'll
not.
make him the coach. So
It's
what's
not.
Aaron Rodgers going to do? He's going to be purposefully be bad once again. So Atlanta's going to win the game. Easy game, Geoff. Figure out the narratives.
Sure. This is.
This reeks a 3-point game to me.
Yeah, I like Atlanta. I think the points are very appealing. Talking about the Packers' bigger picture, though, I believe
We'll get to coaches a little bit later on. I have that designated for us to talk about.
Okay.
Because when we get to this Buffalo, New York game, we'll talk about coaches. That'll be fun. So that's a tease for you. You can just jump ahead right to that. I'm guarantee you that 2-game stretch coming up, probably like 3 hours into the show, Jets at Buffalo, followed by Cincy at the Chargers, is probably going to be like an hour and a half long. So you can just jump ahead to that. Next game, actually, you and I are both on Atlanta. The Coin and Tim both like the Packers. Next game, Baltimore and Kansas City. The spread for this is 6.5 for Kansas City. 53 is the over-under. Seems high, but anytime you deal with the Chiefs, points can be scored. This is my favorite game on the slate. I'm going to go down with the ship on this one. I've been talking about it for weeks. This game opened at 7.5, and I didn't bet it because I assumed that it would go up to like 8.5 or 9 because everyone would love the Chiefs. It's now down to 6.5. As long as Lamar Jackson is the starter, or potentially Robert Griffin, because now they're talking about like splitting time with Joe Flacco and
Should be
Lamar
Flacco's
Jackson.
job.
You're just going to bench Lamar Jackson after winning 3 in a row? Is what you're going to
Against
do?
the Chiefs, yes.
No, because the optimal strategy to beat the Chiefs is to run the ball, is to milk the clock, have these super long drives, and let your defense make a turnover, make a stop, and hopefully that's where you can get the advantage in this game. They need to win this game 24-20. Like, that's the type of game that Baltimore wants to play. Very similar to what we saw earlier in the season when Baltimore lost to the Saints at home. It was the 24-23 game that Tucker missed the extra point on. Like, they had a ton of long drives in that game. They played some good D, and they ended up blowing it in the end. I mean, they would cover in this situation. I like Baltimore to win this game
Who
out.
played quarterback in that game?
Joe Flacco did, but now they have a better chance to run the ball. But the Chiefs' run defense is horrible. And when you get a mobile quarterback in this game who will keep the clock moving, be able to pick up those short third downs, and leave big holes open for Gus Bus just to smash through, who is going to be healthy for this game, I like the way it sets up. Plus, working on the Fienberg theory of the look-aheads, I totally forgot about this coming in, Chiefs-Chargers next Thursday night, Tim. Baltimore
Yeah, I
wins
don't-
this game. Baltimore covers the 6.5.
I don't think the Chiefs could care less who they play next week. Honestly, the Chiefs are the best team they have. There's no look-ahead games when you're the Chiefs other than the Super Bowl.
They haven't been able
no
to
one's
pull
in their
away,
league.
genius. They've been the best,
one's in their league.
greatest team since sliced bread. They're still, I'm still clipping their heels.
You
Not that I
poor
think I
soul.
care. Not that I think it's the biggest deal, but I do like Baltimore here. And
Now, if they get down by 14,
it's over.
then throw Flacco in because Lamar's not coming back.
This
is under the pretense that I think that they're going to win and they're going to be able to run the ball effectively and just drain down Kansas City. Just don't score too quickly. Just keep milking it.
And I don't know. I mean, if you saw this watching Baltimore play Atlanta last week, they probably went for, I don't know, 4 or 5, like 4th and shorts. And
You have to with that offense.
And
you can get 2 yards running the ball in that offense.
And they will absolutely do it.
They
again
have
here.
to do it this week.
Okay, even in the losses,
Punting is no good this week.
even in the losses, Mahomes hasn't played a bad game yet.
This year. Yeah.
So this might be the best. The Rams.
I mean, the two defenses that kind of tied him in knots a little bit. That Arizona team, but that was just sort of a game where they jumped out early
Sleepwalked
and he
through
didn't
it,
have to
yeah.
do much. And that Jacksonville game, the Jacksonville D gave him.
Denver early on that
But
Monday.
what did Denver do against Kansas City to keep those games close? They just ran the ball over and over and over and brought some pass rush, and that's what Baltimore is going to be able to do. And I think their offense is more conducive to running the ball more effectively. And even if they have to settle for field goals in some spots, they're not going to miss their field goals at least.
Yeah, this is a game that I mean, you mentioned the spread drop. From what I've been reading, a lot of the sharps came out of the gate quickly to get Baltimore, who this game, I mean, the Chiefs are amazing.
It means a lot to the Ravens.
It means a lot more to Baltimore, who is fighting for wild card life.
And they got a tough sked too.
But they can also taste a division. And Baltimore does have a tough sked. They play Kansas City, and I'm not sure they play next week. And then they got the Chargers. So they do have it, and they're on the heel of the Steelers, who they could taste right now. I think this is going to be a very close game, but I don't know if Mahomes can ever play bad. So this is one of those Chiefs win, Ravens cover.
Tim?
I mean, where do I begin? Because I disagree with a lot that has been said in this show. I think this game is just as important for the Chiefs as Ravens because the Chiefs have to have home field advantage if they want to win this through the playoffs. They cannot go to Foxborough and win. They can win
Didn't
at
you
home.
just say they
I
shouldn't
think
have to worry about anybody? They're the best.
Yeah,
The
they're only
Patriots, I guess they
looking
have
ahead
to
to the
worry.
Super Bowl.
the Patriots are a team you do have to concern yourself.
I mean, they went into New England and lost by 3. They went into Pittsburgh and beat the doors off them. Like, I think they're
only
fine.
way the Chiefs have been beaten this year are by teams that score a ton of points. If you try to play the Chiefs close, you cannot beat them low scoring. They can only be slain in high scoring games. If Baltimore's objective is to try to slow the game down, they're not beating them. They're not going to be close. The Chiefs just have too many weapons, and in tight games, they'll get you any which way you want it. I mean, maybe you're right that the Ravens will be able to run the ball effectively and shorten the game. But Lamar Jackson makes a ton of mistakes, and I don't trust him to be able to capitalize against the Chiefs' greatest weakness, which is that defense and that secondary. I'm dubious that the Ravens will be able to make much hay there. I mean, the Chiefs just beat teams up when they want to, and they're at home. This is an incredibly tough spot to play a football game. I don't think Jackson is ready to play an Arrowhead in December. He has barely looked able to play in the games he has so far. I think the kid has a ton of potential, but I don't think the Ravens are running the right type of offense to maximize his skill set. They're just sort of cobbling him onto Joe Flacco's offense and then trying to let him run more than throw. I don't know. I just think that Baltimore's sort of a Frankenstein team right now, and a team that I don't like watching and a team that I don't think is all that great. Their defense is fine, but like in the end, I just look at this and I go, the Chiefs are getting less than a touchdown at home. That there is value on Kansas City under a touchdown. I'm taking them. I think they win the game.
You and the coin are on the same page with this. And listen, there's a definite possibility here that if Kansas City can jump out to a lead, and I think what you said was actually pretty good in terms of Lamar Jackson, that he can't turn the ball over here. Like, he was careless with the ball against Atlanta.
We got to play.
Like, he needs to play a good,
Army-style offense with
Navy.
Ravens defense.
Yeah, Navy-style football with Ravens D.
That's it.
What they should
That's
really
it.
do is just put Gus Bus, Lamar Jackson, and Robert Griffin in the backfield and play
Done.
wishbone.
Three and a half a play. Some will break, some won't. You talk about Lamar. to me, like for them to win the game, he doesn't throw more than like 10 times.
Yeah.
So I don't really worry about it.
Can't imagine.
And anytime it's like first or second down, you can just get 4.5 yards. Just take it. Take it and then do it on third. And then anything fourth and like under,
Go for it. Yeah.
they'll be going for it. So
maybe
I do actually think and this is so, the Chargers certainly don't have a Frankenstein team, but I think this Frankenstein team scares the Chiefs and the Patriots a lot more than the Chargers. In my opinion.
See, it's really nice that I don't have to produce the shows completely by myself anymore, because sometimes you get some pretty good producer notes. So from Paul Shag, just put it to me. Tim is something that Paul has noticed, that Tim never has anything nice to say about any other rookie quarterback. He's very jealous of rookie quarterbacks. He hates them all. Have you noticed this?
Well, this is not fair because I was planning to say nice things about Josh Allen, and now I feel like I should.
That's only so you can try to curse him.
Oh, please! I'm not playing those types of dark arts. I think that Jackson is a work in progress. That's all.
No one's
and I don't
debated
think a quarterback who's a work
Tim's
in
not
progress.
picking him. I mean, Pat's not picking it thinking that
That he's Sam Darnold, who's a finished product and better than Tom Brady already.
He has to play, I think, a perfect game to beat the Chiefs. If they throw 10 times, they're going to lose by 30 points. I don't see it.
Well, that's actually, I mean, if he plays the entire game and he only throws 10 times, they win. Because if they're down by 40 points, he'll have to throw more than 10 times.
So we talk about
I can't imagine it.
the Chiefs' next 3 games, Pat, is Ravens, Chargers at Seahawks.
They could stumble.
Sure. They'll be favored every one of those games, but sure.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Seahawks game plan is probably better suited for playing the Chiefs because they'll try to do the exact same thing.
Well, they can also make that 65-yard touchdown.
But they have Russell Wilson. But their defense isn't as good as the Ravens is the problem.
Listen, I'm fired up, and I'm not going to lie. When it was like 33-30 on Sunday, Chiefs Raiders, I was into it. And then, like, they
Raiders.
instantly score. No, I mean, like, I was like, oh my God, can the Raiders like beat these guys? I was hoping, but then, the Chiefs, like, they need a touchdown like 5 seconds later.
Did you get a good look at my main man, Marcel Aitman, catching touchdowns against the Chiefs?
No, I didn't. No.
Next game, Carolina and Cleveland. Tim has been proven very correct about the Carolina Panthers over the last month. They are 1-point favorites in Cleveland. 47 is the over-under. Tim hates Baker Mayfield. We know that. He also hates Cam. And this is a bad swag game for Cam because he's hurt with a shoulder injury. Baker's got a lot of swag coming off a bad game. Can he rebound, Tim?
Yeah, I think this line is actually quite risable. The Browns should not be only a 1-point dog. This should be Carolina by like 5.5, Carolina by 6. I think this is a very, very bad line. The Browns, I mean, we saw again last week. The Browns went up against a good team, and they had absolutely no chance in the game. Like, they were outclassed in every aspect on the field. Carolina is not a good team, but they're not an awful team. They're just like a lot of other teams in the NFL this year. They're just mediocre, but they have a good quarterback who can take care of things. I don't know. I just think that Mayfield has regressed in a quite significant way over the last month. I don't see it with him whatsoever. I don't think that
he's actually gotten so much better in the last month.
He had a bad game last week, though, so he sucks.
He had a very, very bad game last week. And the week before, I didn't think he looked all that. I just think, I mean, part of that's not his fault. Part of it is that he has no coaches to help him. And that he was sort of like cast away this season without much assistance. So I'll give him a bit of a break on that. I think the Panthers are desperate. I mean, you talk about must wins. This is the biggest must win of the week, quite likely for a team. And that if the Panthers lose this game, their season is over. That is because they have 2 games remaining against New Orleans. I mean, already, if we think they're going to lose both games, that's 8-8. If they have to win one of those 2 games to stay afloat, and they cannot afford to drop a gimme against the Browns. So a team that is completely back against the wall, desperate, has got to win this game, and the Browns aren't very good. So I think only laying a point here with the Panthers is value, and I'll play them.
I probably wish I was getting an extra 1.5 here, but I don't think it matters. The Browns are going to win this game.
I'm with you.
Outright.
I think they're going to win outright,
They're going to win this game outright.
The coin agrees with us.
I said it 2 weeks ago. The Browns and the Bills at home the entire month. The entire month.
just take him.
Yeah.
This is actually, sometimes I give out.
I'm a little worried. Well, we'll
So-
get to
sometimes Tim does
this
his free money. Sometimes I like additional plays. So this is leg 1 of a 2-game parlay for me that I like this week. Over 47 in this game is one part of that.
I can see that.
Unfortunately for Carolina, they lost games they should have won.
But they also won like 2 games they should have lost.
Yes, but the game versus Seattle, like they outgained them by so many, and even in Detroit, that Cam like played well, or he didn't play like horribly, but it was only a matter of time. He played horribly.
They could have won last week too, and he threw 4 picks. They still had a chance to win the game at the end.
I think I don't know. I think Baker and the Browns will be able to move the ball just like everyone else has, just like Cleveland did, just like Seattle did, just like everyone has in the last little bit. And I think they'll make some defensive plays at home. And I don't know. Baker did what Baker does. And as a rookie against that Texans defense on the road, stuff like that's going to happen. But Carolina doesn't have those pieces.
And it's in Cleveland, which does help.
Hey, I saw that play. Like Baker throws like 2 80-yard touchdowns in like a 12-second span. Got nothing out of them.
So next game is Indy and Houston, and this is the second half of that over/under 2-game parlay. It was at 48 when I bet it earlier yesterday. Now it's 49.5. So it's Indy at Houston, -4.5 is the line, 49.5 is the over/under. I like the over in this game too. Over 49.5. 2 of the fastest paced teams in football. The Colts love throwing the ball, obviously, and as underdogs, they tend to throw it more, which stops the clock. And Houston is running the ball a bunch over the past 7 weeks or so. During the course of this 9-game winning streak, they've just really committed to the run, and that's really helped them. And they may be able to do it this week, but they rarely play an offense that can actually keep up with them. Like the teams they played have just been absolute trash.
The worst.
So the Colts present a good offense. This game went over in Indianapolis pretty quickly last time around when the Texans won in overtime. So I like those two together. You parlay those two together. You take the Titans and you take the Jags out of the AFC South and just bet the over on the other sides. Pretty good to go in this spot. So that pays plus 265. So those are my 2 big leans of the week, that and the Ravens money line. But I like Indy in this game. I really do. I think it's a great bounce back spot. Luck's going to be awesome. He's my preferred DraftKings quarterback of the week. I saw that Hilton and Ebron mispracticed this week, but they're going to play. They're going to be fine. And Houston could win by 7, but I just think it goes back and forth all game.
This is in contention for my super lock. I'm pretty excited. To me, I think we're getting some spread value as well.
This should be a 3-point game.
In my opinion, Houston.
No, it shouldn't.
Houston.
Are you out of your mind? Houston's a great team. The Colts are an okay team. This is silly. Come on. I'll let you finish, but I think that's silly.
The Texans are a pretty okay team themselves.
They're a team that I think they have a really, really good chance of having a bye.
That's great. Will they be
AFC.
will they be favored against the Patriots, against the Chiefs, or the Steelers in the playoffs, or the Chargers?
At home, yeah, they'll be favored against the Steelers, no doubt.
I'll take the Steelers in that spot.
Maybe you will. Maybe they won't.
Listen, I don't doubt Houston's ability to win a big game. They have a big game pass rush with big game playmakers.
And their
on
quarterback
defense.
is excellent.
They have big game playmakers on offense, and their
Best
quarterback
receiver in
is
football.
big game playmakers on offense, and their quarterback might be the best big game college QB I've ever seen.
Yep.
So I've got all the confidence in the world in him in a big spot. But as for just we're here and it's a grind and it's a meat grinder of an NFL season, I really like Indy in this game. I think I have no doubt we got at least I think the spread can get higher as people still have a bad taste in their mouth from Indy last week. I think this can be a close game.
I think the Texans mathematically clinch the division with this win. I think
the Texans can still win the division even if they lose this game.
Well, I think they will mathematically win it this week because they will destroy Indianapolis. I think they'll win it.
A couple things here. I've been as Houston's been on this hot streak, been kind of picking on them. Not kind of. The Browns are my super lock last week. Very dumb. Should have gone with that other game. I was debating Seattle. And I think I tried to pick on them the week before. Who did they play?
They doubled up the Titans 34-17 on Monday night.
Yes. Which, we got like a 6.5 on this show. It went off at 4 kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know how I felt, but I just felt their offensive line, they're really surviving their inability to not be able to.
They lost someone this week
to contain the inside pass rush. they're going to get got one of these weeks. They just got to. That streak's got to end. But here's a great stat.
Next week.
Luck 13-7 ATS when you give them 3.5 points or more on the number.
Really?
Yeah, great backdoor QB too.
Yeah, they'll always
He's
be throwing.
actually like a great really is one of the best.
And the big thing with Houston's defense, they're a pass funnel defense because they're so good against the run. I can just see Indianapolis decide, you know what? Screw it. We're not running. We'll just pass 65 times. Try to light up the
Maybe.
scoreboard.
Maybe that's right. I like the Texans to beat them up, though. I think Texans are a really good team. Again, I mean, Luck last week when he actually got someone get in his grill and hit him, he floundered. The Texans should be able to do that as well. They should be able to get at him and hit him a few times.
This is someone's kicking a winning field goal.
The big
I don't
difference
see it.
between the Texans defense and the Jags defense is, yeah, you can bring that pressure, and yes, the Texans do generate a ton of pressure, but they have no corners to actually cover anyone. So if Luck gets the ball out quickly, it's no big deal. The Jags actually have those people to shut people
Also,
down.
Pat, I saw this thing open at a 5, and I read that 70% of the early money came in on Houston, and it's dropped. So that's always just some food for thought.
That is what happened in that Dallas and New Orleans game last week, and I was like, no, New Orleans is gonna be fine. Really should have believed the numbers on that one.
Yeah.
My boneheadedness got
Andrew
in the way.
Luck, like all trends point to him. 22-9 ATS off a loss, 17-9 ATS in the division, and as I mentioned, 13-7 ATS as a dog of 3.5 or more. Frank Wright, Andrew Luck, big bounce back game for Indy. That being said, I hope this is the type of game where you don't kick you can't get
I agree
dissuaded
with you there.
by it didn't work last week. I hope Frank Wright will go for it in all the same situations again. Because you won't be able to win a 12-6, 9-6
Game against the
force a
Texans.
game to be 6-all, make it longer game here.
New England and Miami. Miami 7-point dog at home. This opened at 8, now down to 7. The over-under is 47.5. And the narrative that you're going to hear all week is that Brady sucks in Miami. Miami beats him every single year by 500 points, which is not really actually the case. Just the Patriots lose so infrequently over the years that this game really does stand out. I think they're like one game over 500 in Brady's career in Miami or something close to that. Like, it's not that Miami win. This is the side of the Wildcat game. Was it last year they lost here, Tim?
Yeah.
Yes, but the Wildcat game was in Foxborough.
Was it in Foxborough?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, Ronnie Brown.
Dolphins were
Tony
Dolphins were
Sperano.
using some Wildcat last week. Didn't really work out Wildcat wise. They still did win the game though. But
Home team has won 12 of the last 14 in this meeting. So the Dolphins in Miami
I'm
have
going to grab the Dolphins here just because I think the Patriots are bad on the road. They've been bad on the road all year so far. They shouldn't have covered against the Jets in the Meadowlands. And Miami's better than the Jets are, so I'll just take Miami in the points.
This is a really hard one for me because I do agree a lot of the Patriots could easily be sleepwalking in this spot in the history.
It's not
But I
to
don't
do with
know.
the history. It's just to do with this year. The Patriots.
They're
was
playing
bad on
really
the road.
The history
they're,
is there.
they're
7-9
playing
all
really
time.
they're playing really
It's
sharp.
7-9.
They're playing really
7-9
sharp.
in Miami.
And I would argue there's a bit of spread value with the Patriots.
I think they've covered every game at home so far.
Like, this
Except,
spread
no, they
keeps-
didn't cover the KC game.
This spread opened at 9 and it's down to 7. So now I just give me New England because to me the Dolphins' best strength I think the Patriots neutralize, and that's the Cam Wake, Robert Quinn, edge rushing. Yeah, give me New England.
Xavier Howard is day to day too. He may not play in this game. which would-
AFC Defensive Player of the Week.
yeah, it might not be good if he doesn't play for them. So Miami for me, New England for Geoff and the coin. Tim, you.
Patriots. I sort of bought into some of those Dolphin narratives before they played the first game, and New England won the game by 38 points or something. Like
Yeah.
they killed them, and I just think I don't know. I get that Brady has struggled in the state of Florida, not just in Miami, and he did again this year when they went to Jacksonville and he looked terrible and old. But I mean, I don't know. I think he'll try to warm up to as he's becoming an old man and close to being a pensioner. He's looking towards his future home and doesn't want to upset the people at Miami too much. So maybe he won't embarrass them. But I think he covers the number.
Brady 6-8 ATS in his career at Miami.
I don't like this is a complete stay away. This is making no sort of finalized picks for me. I'm not betting on this game. I'll just take Miami. Next one. New Orleans at Tampa. 9 is the number. Both those games opened at 8. Like I mentioned, the Dolphins game went down to 7. This game has gone up to 9. 56 is the over-under. it seems high. I think if I was going to touch this game, I'd take the under in this game. Tim, you've been on it for weeks. When the Jameis comes back to Earth week, this is the Jameis comes back to Earth week.
Yeah, it could be. I could see that. Of course, when these two teams played the last time and the Buccaneers beat them in the Superdome, Jameis wasn't under center. So I think you can throw out a lot of what we saw in week one. I don't know how valuable that is. The Saints have had extra rest, although that hasn't seemed to matter a whole lot this year. Teams coming off Thursday night, I don't think it's had a marked difference in their win-loss records. I just think this Tampa team can score a lot of points, and therefore it can be kind of tricky to cover in division over a touchdown on the road. The Saints did not look good against Dallas. I didn't think they looked great against the Falcons when they beat them either. I really don't think they did. I don't expect them to overlook their opponent by any means, but I like the Buccaneers to cover the number in this game. It's a home dog in division, getting 9 points. I think if you wait towards kickoff, it may get close to 10. I just think the Buccaneers are able to score enough points. I think they can score between 25 and 30 points, and that'll be enough to cover the number. So give me them.
The Saints' defense has really impressed me the past 2 weeks. 13 sacks the past 2 weeks for the Saints defense.
27 points allowed.
And listen, I'm kind of with you. Like, Tampa's gonna score in this game. Probably no Deshaun Jackson again. So fire up some Chris Godwin in fantasy. But it just seems like a spot where the defense just gets to Jameis. He makes bonehead decisions and throws them enough out of the game. You can't just be giving, like, if Jameis throws 2 picks in this game, that's 2 short fields potentially for New Orleans. They'll cash in on
My
those.
only concern, I'm going to pick the Saints. I don't know if it's real money. My only concern is the backdoor that is probably going to be available in Jameis.
I didn't want to take every home dog this week, so this is what I'm going to.
And this is, there's a damning trend in this one. Sean Payton is 9-4 in same season ATS and same season revenge games. But the Saints have so much more. Like, their season is about so much more than like
Tampa?
getting that one up on Tampa.
Maybe he's
so
very
I don't
petty.
think that like is a big deal. I will say this, kind of funny to note. Here we are. Like NFL Network puts up their NFC playoff picture. They're still putting Tampa in the graphic at 5-7.
Well, because Tampa has some tiebreak wins that are important. That's why Tampa can win a lot of tiebreaks.
I'm just saying.
They have an Eagles tiebreak. Do they have a Carolina tiebreak?
Yeah, they beat Carolina last week.
Yeah, but
they played them in week 17.
Okay, so if Carolina wins that, then
not week 17, week 16. I think
that would be
probably is
that
week
would be
17
no.
because the whole division's week
No,
17
the Saints
is only
Saints
division
and
games.
Panthers play weeks 15 and 17.
Whatever. Division games only week 17.
Yeah,
is my point.
So, if the tiebreaker was to matter between Carolina and Tampa Bay, then Carolina.
I will also say this number being under 10, if you like the Saints, whoever, I don't know which one you mentioned, you should probably get on it. Because I think it even opened at like 8 and has kind of started to go up. And that does seem like value just because they lost last week and Tampa won. Can I just say something? Because I don't want to like bog down important stuff later.
Okay.
So earlier, Tim like took the shot at me about like the tweet thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what he's talking about?
Not really.
So
I don't spend as much time on Twitter as Tim does. I'm not just constantly refreshing my menchies.
So what happened, I guess, during the Sunday night game after the Chargers had like tied it? I had sort of made mention on Twitter that I don't know how this game is going to play out, but I'm satisfied like with the hustle and heart the team has shown. And essentially,
I quoted it directly: "Win or loss, I'm proud of the hustle and heart shown."
Okay. And then Tim tries to quantify that as it being in the same vein as his...
As giving up?
As him conceding as a 14-point favorite down 10 in the first quarter. You can infer what I said however you want. But all I meant was I didn't get embarrassed tonight. And that is really important to me.
So all I did was quote tweet it with the shrug Twitter symbol, and that was enough to set Geoff off. And then when he got angry like he did, I just said, listen, all I'm saying is if I had tweeted win or lose, I'm happy with
because
the team
that's
hustle,
a consistent
I would have taken
attention.
a lot of support.
You also don't do that. You say, oh, we're done. We can't win.
You would take heat for it because it's part of a consistent narrative of attention-seeking behavior tweets that you put out.
Every tweet by definition is attention seeking. I keep saying this. That's the whole point of Twitter, is for people to see what you're tweeting.
He's right.
He wants his menchies to blow up, though. Hooked on them Menchies.
Hey, don't even put me in your soft serve category.
I wasn't putting you in any category. I wasn't even making a comment on it other than just to shrug and say, I think I might have taken heat had I said it. That's all.
Of course you would have.
Yeah,
Well, then that was my only point.
It would really fit your narrative. Geoff doesn't have a narrative of this happening to him, though. He was just happy that they didn't embarrass themselves. You'd be all freaking out, though. So you wouldn't have the constraint to tweet something like Geoff did.
Well, as we'll get into, if I were a Chargers fan, I would not be all that thrilled with how Sunday night wound up going forward. I think that was a very problematic game. We'll talk about it.
There's one thing that was problematic, and they overcame it, and we will.
That they caught every single break imaginable on earth to win the game. Yes,
they
win by 3.
Can we wait till we get to the fucking game before we completely
Okay, fine.
derail
That's why I said I
everything?
didn't want to get into it, but I knew that it would
But
cause...
I don't want to get into it, but here's A, B, and C.
yes. Guilty.
Giants at Skins. Skins with the better Sanchez are 3.5 point dogs at home. 41 is the game total. Looked at the spread. It probably should be higher for the Giants to be. And if it's the Giants on the road, betting against the Giants in the second half is probably what you want to be up to these days. They're not great in the second half.
No. Oh, second half. I thought you meant like of the season.
Yeah, but so hear me out on this. Sanchez sucks, and just betting against Mark Sanchez is probably a really sharp move. And maybe I've overthought this, but he was if you have a bad quarterback and you throw him into an unwinnable situation where you just signed him and all of a sudden he's playing quarterback for your team like the week of, it's not great. Now at least he has a week to like practice with the starters. They're getting 3.5 points at home. It's against the Giants, who aren't very good. They're going on the road as road favorites. No one's going to take the Skins in this matchup. I'll take the Skins plus 3.5. I think that Peterson can run against what's been the worst run defense in the league since Damon Harrison left. The Giants will put up their points. There's just something really fishy about this line and about this game that no one will take the Skins, so I'll take them. So I'll take Washington. Geoff, you look like you're searching for a note.
No, no, there's nothing that can make me take Washington.
Okay, see, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, and I get it. And I guess based on your logic, that for me is the only case to take Washington.
That is my only case.
Is that no one else will take them, so I'll take them because you've watched enough NFL football. You know how that game works in the desert, in the Southwest. Yeah, just give me the Giants. I don't. It's not even to pick on Sanchez. There's just, I don't know. I just think the Redskins are dead.
The Giants are better?
That's
that's a very fair case.
The Redskins were dead with all those injuries 2 weeks ago, and since then they got incredibly lucky because Tampa was the most moronic team ever, and Houston let them back into a game. But now they're going to finish the team that I thought they were 4 injuries ago. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, they'll just be bad.
They're they're worse than the team I knew that they would be coming down the stretch. So I will continue to pick on them. I don't love the number, but I could see the Giants winning this thing by 10, 14 points.
The coin also likes the Giants. Tim, you always like the Giants, so I assume you're on board. Or are you thinking the same way as me?
No, I like the Giants. And I tell you, the entire NFC better be cheering for the Giants because you do not want Mark Sanchez getting into the playoffs on the road. The guy does nothing but win road playoff games. He won 4. He had 4 victories against Peyton Manning, against Carson Palmer, against Phillip Rivers, against Tom Brady, all on the road. You give this guy an opportunity to start on the road in the playoffs, you gotta like your chances. The NFC does not want him into the playoffs.
What year was that?
Do you have
So it was a decade ago, Mark Sanchez.
Is Darrelle Revis on the Redskins?
No, he is not. But the coaching staff was a lot. That's right. Sanchez is there. So a lot of the coaching staff for Washington was in New York when Sanchez arrived. I mean, I'm having a bit of fun there, but he is one of the great road playoff quarterbacks in modern history. That's just a fact of the matter. I think the Giants are going to get him. I think that the Giants have played really scrappy and competitive the last several weeks. Washington just looks sort of, I guess the right word is moribund. They just don't look like they have much life. Like that game against Philly was there for the taking. Philly played very badly on Monday night. They had every opportunity to get him and just didn't seem to have a spark, which was all I needed to see. Is like this Washington team. The fire went out when Alex Smith went down. That was it. They didn't show up on Thanksgiving. They didn't play well last week. They didn't play well Monday night. Just Get rid of them. I can't pick them. You could get the line to a point where I would, but not at 3.5. There, I'll play the Giants.
Jets at Buffalo. The Jets playing their only game in New York this season, -3.5.
All right,
the Bills are favored by it.
Stop it.
What? They are.
Yeah, but you don't need to say that other than just to try to get me going. And I will.
Why?
Not
The Bills are clearly New York's team. They're the only team that plays in New York.
Fine.
Bills are 3.5 point faves at home. 38, an impressive 38 is the over-under, the lowest of the Sunday slate of games in terms of over-under. The coin has already picked the Bills here. I can see, and maybe I should take the Jets in this instance because I can make no logical case for taking the Jets on the road +3.5 because Josh Allen may be the best quarterback in football, Tim. Are you devastated? We just had Jets fan Ben Raza on the Draftkings show earlier today, and he was just lamenting over how the Jets took Sam Darnold instead of Josh Allen.
Some people have no faith in this team.
Like you, who picked Tennessee last week?
And I was wrong to do so. I mean, I didn't pick them against that. That has nothing to picking them in a single week has nothing to do with whether I believe in the franchise and the quarterback they took. I mean, Sam didn't even play in the game. Like, I still believe that Sam's not 100%.
Oh yes,
but
he's not 100%. Although they already came out and said he was faking an injury, like I've told you for the past month.
That is not
faking an injury. Could have played last week. Too scared to play. Oh, can't play Sam.
I'm going to finish my point no matter how many times you interrupt. I don't think Sam's 100%, but after what he witnessed with this team last week and the week before, even though he's hurt, I don't think he can stand to watch anymore as the team flounders and struggles. And he's taking it upon himself to put him back in because he is the team's franchise and he is the savior to say, no more, I can't take it any longer. I've got to be in there with my guys and I got to battle. And I think that's what's happening here this Sunday. I expect him to play very well. I expect Buffalo's defense is probably the toughest challenge any quarterback faces all year, just about. So I respect the fact that Buffalo's very good, that they can attack, and that scares me. But at the same time, I just think that this is a matchup between this is the future of the AFC. And I really like Josh Allen. I think that despite the unending criticism of him from certain people, they are almost certainly to be proven wrong. The kid can actually play football. He reminds me a lot of Cordell Stewart for people who are a little bit older. Like, that's the type of quarterback I think he is. Well, Cordell Stewart was a great quarterback. So I think that would be a pretty good career for him to have. So if styles make fights, and I think they do, then we're going to have a quarterback who's a classic traditional in the pocket passer who, if he can have a little bit of time, makes some of the best technical throws you can make, against Josh Allen, who's more of a virtuoso, who sort of makes things up on the fly and that last play against the Dolphins, for example, where all Clay had to do was be able to catch the ball and they win the game. Like, he made something out of nothing there, very Favre-like, very Cordell Stewart-like when he played at Colorado and then when he played at Pittsburgh. I think it should be an interesting and fun game if you are interested in the future of the league. I think these two teams are going to be a big part of that because of the quarterbacks they took. And so I think it'll be a tough, tight game. But in a divisional matchup, you're going to give me the points between two teams that are kind of equal. I'm going to take the Jets.
You're getting the extra hook, too, because this game, since we've been talking, is already down to 3. But we'll take it at 3.5 on the show. I'll take Buffalo. You hit on it. The best unit far and away in this game is the Bills' defense. And the one thing that worries me is that I almost like the last game. I'm curious to see how this plays itself out. But I feel like the world's going to be on the Bills here.
Yeah, they will.
For good reason, too. It's in Buffalo. They've been playing pretty well. The defense is really good. Josh Allen's been significantly better since coming back from this injury than he was earlier in the season. That I see no logical reason to take the Jets, especially because interception Sam's coming back. Fresh out of his safe space back on the field.
That place is going to be a gongin' on Sunday. For a team with that many wins, as many as the Packers, that place is going to be turned up. Because they got something to be excited about, and they often don't. Even though they made the playoffs last year, December at the Ralph was something to be excited about. Will not be a fun place. I like that 41-10 loss though. Really bothers me because I know this league, and that will, for how garbage and pathetic the Jets are, they will have had their best week of preparation in probably a month.
Plus,
Potentially.
their leader is back now. Their leader didn't play in that game. He's back.
He's been too busy.
So-
he's been too busy out faking an injury.
I'm gonna take Buffalo, but I really don't like it. As much as I know I talked up, Buffalo and Cleveland at home.
I mean, looking at this matchup, Buffalo should be my super lock. That's how much I think that they cover this spread. But like, there's something fishy about this line. I feel like it should be higher.
Buffalo played great at home. I mean,
you want to talk about just a gutless head coach. I mean, the way that Todd Bowles coached that game against the Titans, no professional team should ever lose that football game. You get up 16-0.
you got all the breaks and you still lost.
They punt and they punt and they punt and they don't try to do anything. Then they elect Josh McCown, who again, we can have a whole other discussion about why is Josh McCown playing anymore. It makes
because
no
they can't put in
earthly
Sam
sense.
because he looks too
Davis
bad
Webb is
because he
there.
sucks too
Play-
much, and they can't have him throwing 8 picks a game.
Josh
He might throw
McCown-
5 picks in this game.
Josh McCown isn't good. Play Davis Webb then. Let's see what we've got. I mean, McCown's, this is his last season. What are we doing here? Play the backup so at least you have a chance to see what have we got in terms of, like, do we have a backup quarterback here or not? Just mismanagement of assets. The Jets have mismanaged this season so poorly. And then in-game coaching, just every decision that Bowles could make, he made the wrong one. And then he took the blame on himself. Well, good. He should take the blame for himself, and he should resign. That's what he should have done.
You sound
Because
like
gonna
you
have
sound
this
like
job
Keith
on New Year's
Olbermann.
Eve. He's not going to have this job on New Year's Eve. I mean, he's going to get fired that next Monday. That is a foregone conclusion. The question is whether he wants to fit. I don't understand how he's allowed to keep his job. I don't understand it's just frustrating. You have a year which is going to be lost because you're not going to be as good, but you have this star quarterback that you've got to give him reps and opportunities, and you're just mismanaging your assets, and it's very frustrating for those of us who are Jets fans. But who knows? Sam can turn something into nothing, and of course, next week he gets a primetime game of sorts by playing on a Saturday afternoon. The last time he was in a solo game, he's at the World on Fire, so things may be turning a little bit here. Who knows?
Josh Allen
Is great.
As I tweeted this morning, I'm lucky. I go to my buddy's house. Well, it used to be my buddy's house. Maybe like 8 years ago he moved out, but we still show up at his parents' house, go into their basement, and they got all the TVs set up because we live in Toronto and he doesn't have a place.
Yeah, it's limited space in Toronto.
Yeah, for that many TVs. Nonetheless, Josh Allen just captivates
He's
my
just
eyeballs.
fun to watch.
Just
He's not very good, but he's fun to watch.
But he's raw and he's working with nobody.
Well, that
Nobody. They
cut-
don't need 1 weapon, 2 weapons. They need 3 or 4.
No. They did the smart thing.
I like what they did.
Cut Kelvin
I
Benjamin.
agree. I like
cut
it.
Andre Holmes, who just got signed by Denver, by the way. And if you look at his splits, Chris Raybon tweeted this out. His splits of throwing to Kelvin Benjamin and Andre Holmes versus every other receiver: 43% completion rate to Kelvin Benjamin and Andre Holmes, 59% to any other Bills receiver.
Incredible. So I'm mesmerized by him. And so I feel sort of to your point, there's this Josh Allen love affair this week,
which is not
and
great.
everyone is going to bet the Bills, and it's 3.5. And to your point, it feels like it should be 6.
It feels very trappy.
At least the 5.5, that which is always.
And now it's
kind
down
of
to 3.
So yeah, no, the Jet and that 41-10 loss guarantees me if the Jets do have a leader, there's a strong week of practice that just went down. And I'm so upset you let Le Titan come back and win. I wanted to make fun of someone.
It's very frustrating.
So bad.
No, they had no business to be in the game, but Bowles doesn't know what he's doing. The whole staff has to be fired from soup to nuts. The whole staff needs to be rebuilt, and I look forward to it.
Over under picks for Darnold in this game.
I think there's a better chance he has a strip sack fumble than he has a pick, actually.
All right, turnovers. Turnovers
Turnovers
from Samchez.
1.5, I would probably say, is the right number of a combination.
Then you're in big trouble.
Will you bet me the over? I will take the over.
No, from now on, the bets we will be making are the ones that I propose.
But you never propose any. So you just don't want to bet.
The days of you proposing bets, those are.
Well,
those
you say outlandish things like Samchez is only going to turn it over under 1 time in this game.
Or the Rams better be worried if Sanchez gets in the playoffs because the Chargers were gutless a decade ago.
Well, I was thinking more of the Patriots when we went into Foxborough and absolutely dismantled them. But
Can't wait.
Exactly.
So you're taking Buffalo, Geoff?
I hate it as much as I love it, but I am.
So Buffalo, Jets for Tim, Buffalo for the coin. So Tim, you mentioned you want to see Todd Bowles fired.
Yes.
So that would work against your assumption, Geoff, that they're going to be wildly prepared for this game because Bowles is so bad he couldn't prepare for anything, according to Tim. That means the Jets get a new head coach next year. So, Tim, who would you like to see as head coach for the Jets? Because I have some people that I would propose that could be, or probably going to be the head coach of the Jets. Tim's going to say someone outrageous, like someone good, and no one good will ever coach the Jets because why would anyone want to coach the Jets? So
Yeah.
let me ask you, Geoff, who would it be? Who is more likely to be the Jets head coach starting 2019? Mike McCarthy or Hugh Jackson?
Mike McCarthy.
I think Hugh Jackson. That would be perfect. But he's probably, or Marvin Lewis, if Marvin Lewis gets fired. Would that pump you up, Tim?
No, I don't want Marvin Lewis either.
What about Hugh?
Marvin Lewis isn't getting fired.
I don't think he is either. I think
People
he may
are like
resign.
that ship is sailed.
He might become like the president of the team and stop being
Here's
the coach.
the thing. I understand
think
they've
that
gone.
could
I understand they've gone through some things this year, but I remember what life was like in Cincy before Marvin.
It was,
And they weren't 8-8, 9-7, and sometimes competitive. They were never nothing.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
I think to Paul Brown, who's not playing the same game as Jerry Jones, and like I'll do whatever I can to try to win. He's just keeping his NFL machine on the hamster wheel. Has no issues with Marvin Lewis.
If Trump gets kicked out of office, Tim, could Trump coach the Jets?
No, he could not. Now, I liked when the Browns had bannered around Condoleezza Rice as head coach. I thought that was a really inspired
Could
choice.
she be
Get
the
the
Jets'
fuck-
next head coach?
I'd be delighted to have somebody
You're
who ran the
such a-
State Department, who's an actual
That's
manager.
such an insult. That's such an insult to everything, even other women. That's an insult. to.
It's really not, because she would have been replacing Hugh Jackson, which he probably would have been better than Hugh Jackson.
She is
That's
a
why. That's
genius.
why he's going to be the Jets' head coach. Hugh time in Gotham.
If requirement is zero football experience, she's into sports. Like this is the thing. Like she's on NCAA committee. She's at the freaking Masters.
She sat on
She's
the-
got some
the
like
college
golden
football committee for
parachute
years.
of like being in sports. She likes sports.
Yeah, but it's also a management job. When you manage the State Department, the National Security, act as the NSA, you run the State Department. You're the chancellor of the university. The woman is a modern day genius, and she loves sports. I mean, you want to talk about someone who makes good decisions and is a good manager. You
To
probably
be a
would
president
train-
of a team, you're not coach a team.
Well, but a lot of head coaches, in fact, more and more head coaches probably should be the CEO of the franchise and hiring good people to do the coordinators to do the X's and O's.
I don't know. That's sort of like the CEO of the thing. I mean, it's a lot of like a college thing, but that's literally what's happened at Arizona State with Herm Edwards. He doesn't do any, he is like the head coach, but he is just like the overseer of the program.
How were they this year?
They're going to a bowl.
They had a
which is
great. They had a great.
Don't like half the teams in college football go to a bowl?
I don't know. They
Not
had a,
quite.
Anyway, I want to hear Condoleezza Rice not being the coach of the Jets.
No, she's not.
not getting a head coaching
See,
job.
here's
So
the
Tim,
qualified-
I want you to power rank who you think the Jets coach is going to be.
Remember, this will be used against you.
I mean, my preference number one would be Jim Caldwell. If I had to pick anybody,
What?
the guy has been you look at what he did. I mean, he went to the Super Bowl with the Colts. You want to talk about how bad the Bengals were without Hugh Jackson? To a lesser but relevant extent, he did that with the Lions. He made the Lions a relevant franchise by going there, and he turned that ship around. And he's a smart guy. He was the coach of the Colts when they had one of their best seasons ever. Jim Caldwell was a really smart football guy. You look at his win-loss record; it's bulletproof. It would be a genius hire, and I don't know if Villa Jim would take it.
Okay.
I'm sure he'll have a bunch of offers. So that he'd be my preferred choice.
Okay, here's
But
the thing. I don't think that Jim Caldwell is a bad coach. I can't
He's a
confirm
really
whether
good
he is alive or dead, though, because I don't think the man opens his eyes.
They were.
But that would be your preferred of any coach that could potentially be the coach of the Jets. Jim
Well,
Caldwell
because that to be
is your
realistic.
number
I
one.
mean, are they going to get Nick Saban? No. Are they going to get Jim Harbaugh? I don't think so. I don't think those guys are going anywhere.
Well, I mean, Tim, this is we're not holding you
But
to
John
this. You're,
Harbaugh.
you're not
Well,
making.
actually, you are holding me to this. The first sentence that Geoff said before I began was, "Be careful what you say because you will be held accountable for this."
But this
So-
is wish list time. If there's an available coach or someone that could potentially be coaxed away, you always say the Jets have all this money. Who couldn't they get? Those are like your words.
Yeah, but
Realistically, and you're
something-
settling for Jim Caldwell. Give me who you really want as your coach.
I want Jim Caldwell as my head coach.
No, you don't.
That's
That's such
Yes, I
fucking
do.
fake news.
That's who I want.
You
I
can
actually
have
don't
Urban
want
Meyer if you want.
He's retired. I don't think he'll coach again.
He'll be coaching
He's-
in a year.
I don't think so. I mean, outside of him, I think that Lincoln Riley's interesting, but again, I don't like the fact that he doesn't coach any defense. I don't like I don't like those types of head coaches that only focus on one side or the other and don't have sort of a sense of how to. I don't know. That bothers me.
Like Sean McVay?
Yeah, Sean McVay's
Sean
terrible,
McVay's
terrible
great.
coach. Terrible coach. Don't want him.
He's not even watching the defense.
Sometimes that can work out, but I think that there's a long track record of that not working out as often as it does work out.
Is Marty Schottenheimer still alive?
I believe he is, but I don't believe he's well.
So he could be the Jets coach. Then.
He's alive. He's suffering from severe
Parkinson's or from,
dementia.
Alzheimer's or something of that nature.
So he's out. He's out as Jets coach then. Is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
What about Bruce Arians? You love his fucking stupid hat.
I would be.
He says
perfectly
he's
fine
in for
with it.
Cleveland or nothing.
He's out. It's probably going to be Mike
Exactly.
McCarthy, right? Mike
I
McCarthy's
think
going to be
it's
the
going
coach
to be
of the
Mike
Jets.
McCarthy. I do.
If I had to wager where I thought Mike McCarthy would be, I would bet he'll be the Browns head.
No, he will
No,
not. He
no,
will
the
not be
Browns-
the Browns head
The
coach.
Browns, I'm very confident the Browns will try to follow them. They will not retread.
They might keep Greg Williams because they're still the Browns.
No, I don't think they're going to retread. And it's going to be really interesting because we've seen, obviously, it's all like this talk about like the next McVay. Got to get the next McVay.
You don't. McVay's McVay. There's
Yeah,
not-
exactly.
There's
They
not a
aren't.
next McVay.
They aren't, and there's going to be a lot of teams falling on their face in an attempt to do that
Exactly.
because
And so
it's
I don't- yeah,
impossible
exactly.
to get a guy that young who has such a great rapport. I mean, who's like this whiz kid genius, but he also he doesn't act like the good doctor around his players. Like he's very like you see him interacting with his players, like it seems like they get along like they're best buddies. This year we saw the Chicago Bears in the vein of the McVay hire had a great hire so far in Matt Nagy. So I'm 100. I mean, it's not even going on a limb. Everyone is going to try to replace this, but without a doubt, people are going to fall on their face. There's going to be some like 36-year-old who is beyond in over their head, who is going to have this kerfuffle with his 27-year-old superstars, and it's going to be very embarrassing. So in effort to try to find these next ones, we're going to be entertained by some real disasters, in my opinion.
So I agree with every word of that, which is why I don't want the Jets to participate in that behavior.
Okay.
After Jim Caldwell,
J-
Gus Bradley would be a high-ranking player.
What about Josh
Gus Bradley-
McDaniels?
I don't want anything to do with him. I think he's a backstabber. The way he treated the Colts, don't trust him. Don't want him in charge of my organization.
Gus
Now
Edwards.
that will be held
Why
against
don't
me.
you just
Now-
hire Mike McCoy?
I would.
Now, see, that will be held against me because the Jets will get Josh McDaniels, and I will have to start backpedaling.
Well, what?
And-
And how great Josh McDaniels is, how he invented everything Brady did, and all this
Let-
stuff.
But he didn't. But I mean, Gus Bradley is a really, really sound technical coach on the defensive side.
Oh, is like
I don't mind.
Is Mike Smith going to be available?
Oy.
No,
You
I
get
think-
Mike
I don't
Smith
think
in
so.
there.
There's
I mean,
no retread. No. But also,
How about this?
No.
Do you know who Tim secretly wants as the head coach of the Jets? Chip Kelly.
I was going
I
to
would
say
love
Notre Dame's
to-
coach.
Oh, Brian
I
Kelly.
would-
He
yeah.
hates Brian
love-
Kelly. For
You
a
know,
while,
Brian did a pretty-
if you search the hashtag Fire Kelly, there's a lot of Tim tweets in there. Tim
So-
can't handle two losses in a row from any coach. He should immediately
after
be
the
fired.
4-8 season a couple years ago, I was out. I was out on him. I will admit.
But
that.
Chip
Listen,
Kelly, you would love
Chip
that.
Kelly I would adore Chip Kelly as the head coach. He never got a fair shot in San Francisco. He had by far a winning record in Philadelphia. I don't know that UCLA is the right fit for him. I mean, listen, Chip likes the big lights. You can come to the biggest city in America, the biggest
New Jersey.
team in the AFC.
New
is the Jets.
Jersey.
Come to the marquee franchise in the AFC in terms of like prestige, money, attention. It's the Jets. So we have more money than heaven
my
itself.
God.
We can. Well, I mean, it's true. I mean,
The
the NFC has
AFC's
all the big teams.
prestige franchise.
Well, listen, as much as the AFC can have a prestige, the NFC have all the prestige franchises. The AFC are full of also rings. But
The
you know,
Steelers,
the Steelers are not a prestige. I mean, they're big to NFL fans.
they're
but
not a prestige franchise.
They're not the Jets.
They think they
They're,
invented
they're
football.
not. They're not the Jets, Jeff.
They're not the Jets. They don't get the ratings the Jets do, and the Jets are good. The Jets play in the biggest media market in the country. I'm sorry, they just are.
I didn't say, but that doesn't. No. You're
The
overlapping
Jets
two
aren't even
things.
New York's team. We just discussed the Bills are clearly New York's team.
Sure.
The Jets.
I also,
the,
while we're
the Jets are for people from New Jersey and Staten Island. Maybe Rick Tocchet and Gretzky's wife can be the head coach, dual head coaches of the Jets because they play so often in New Jersey. Gambling's legalized in New Jersey. They could just
Now,
bet on
that
the
is
games.
such a dated reference that there's like 7 people listening who remember that story.
no, there's
remember
actually
all
a
the
lot of
who were
people
involved
that
in that
know that story. Janet bets
What?
on the coin toss. Everyone, like half our audience knows that.
Yeah, if people don't know about Rick Tocchet and Janet Gretzky, Google it. Unlike Tim, who will just like not Google it and try to figure it out on his own.
Well, I don't
Really
need to Google it
stare at
because
the
I was around when it happened and I remembered the story.
Back to the coaches. I think it's adamant that the Packers allow Rodgers to have some sort of a say because he has to be invested or he's
think
just
he
going to
will.
be, or he's just a sad sack. So, and I don't mean that like, okay, I say that negatively, but I mean, as the organization, he's so great. I believe all the takes. He is generational. Unless you need like a 3rd and 4, he'll Steve Nash a bounce pass. But if you need like 3rd and 44, you'll get the first down.
Just like Josh Rosen.
Wow, that was a great catch by Fitz. But I do strongly believe that he needs to be involved because he needs to take ownership of the decision and not be able to act like a curmudgeon if it blows up in the face and just blame Murphy and the young general manager there. That's what I would say. But the roster's very.
The roster has the most essential piece. It has a great quarterback. Figure out the rest from there.
Yeah, but it has no playmaker. The second most essential piece
Like,
are
here's the thing.
pass rushers.
The
and they don't
Packers
have
are
them.
talking a big game. Like you listen to them speak, they're drawing a lot of comparisons in the front office or the president and such too. They're using like the Saints as a model, which I guess you could argue is fair. All-time great quarterback.
They need to draft like the Saints
Yeah,
have
but
the
that's
past
the
few
thing.
years.
The Saints just
I have
killed
a
it.
hot take
The
of
Saints
what I
have
think the
so
Packers
many.
should coach
The
with.
Saints have so many defensive like good picks. The Packers have that one J.R. Alexander. They had a great corner pick, but they've really come up lame all over the board. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess like if you are the Packers, you can sleep at night being like the Saints had like some real down years with the quarterback like in his
prime,
getting
but
up there, and
wasted.
they were able to flip the switch, and they're right back to being a front end contender. So I get how that's what they're saying, but they're just not there. The pieces aren't there. It's like two fantastic drafts away from being the Saints.
So you think you have a beat on who's going to be the Packers' new head coach, Tim?
Not a beat, but I have a take.
Jim
I
Caldwell.
say this. I
That's
take
what
it with
Booger
trepidation.
McFarland wanted on Monday Night Football.
I say it with trepidation because people always want to hire this guy, but the reasons that he quit coaching was are now over because his children were grown. I think Bill Cowher is going to be the head coach of the Packers.
See, he's never
I
come
really-
back.
I think I thought that about Gruden too.
No, but Gruden always
I thought that
entertained
about-
it. Gruden always put the line in the water.
Cowher, I
Cowher never
think-
did.
This is the perfect spot for someone like that to come back with the star quarterback. And, Cowher will be the CEO of the team. I think he'll give Rodgers a ton of autonomy on the offensive side of the ball, which is like what Rodgers craves, actually.
He's from
So
a
you
dead.
can
He's
call
from
the
a.
plays.
He's from a dead era. He's from a
He
dead
can
era.
be.
He's from a dead era with Jerome Bettis.
Yeah.
And it's
if
not
he
a disrespect on Bill Cowher. What that era required was,
Sure.
going up against a Marty Schottenheimer 3 yards in a cloud of dust type football.
Sure.
He was excellent at it. It's
But
not.
coaches
It's
who come
not
back
time.
from a long
Do you
break,
know?
but-
You know what?
Coaches who come back from a long break are failures when they try to involve themselves heavily on one side or other of the ball. Coaches who are out for a while and don't do that, let's say Dick Vermeil, who was completely the managerial head coach in both Kansas City and with the Rams and hired people to do all of the play calling, were grand successes. Joe Gibbs, same way when he came back at the Redskins. Didn't call plays, was the CEO. The Skins went to several playoff games with Joe Gibbs. Second time.
Cowher's
It
not
It
leaving that
can
thing.
work if Cowher doesn't involve himself in the X's and O's and becomes the CEO or the president in chief of the franchise and makes the fourth down calls and stuff like that. We give Rodgers a ton of autonomy. He's a big name, worthy of the position. I think it's the exact type of job that could entice someone like him back. That is my take. I think he's going to get it.
Next Jets head coach, if they can lure him away from that other football league or potentially the XFL. I'm not sure where he's going to
Mike
be.
Martz?
Mike Martz, Jets head coach. There we
Coaches
go.
that think the San Diego team, who drafted Josh Johnson first overall,
it just-
only to have him sign with the Redskins.
Don't worry, the Hackencust is in that league.
San Diego Fleet.
Ugh.
Okay.
So no Harbaugh, no like fun coaches. You want Jim Caldwell's where you've come down.
I would be perfectly fine with Jim Harbaugh, but I just don't think there's a realistic chance he's leaving Michigan. Particularly now with Urban Meyer leaving Ohio State, I think that increases the chance that that Harbaugh sticks and makes sure that Michigan is like the preeminent franchise of the Big Ten. I think he stays where he's
John Harbaugh could be fired.
No,
I thought that was
Not-
true a month ago. I no longer think that.
not fired, but like it's almost like a parting. Like we're not
Parting.
like 4-10 or 4-12. Like we're
Yeah.
it's almost like I don't know.
Ozzy's leaving, you leave
Time
too.
to leave,
We'll
and
restart.
because that's been rumored even before the year.
Ozzy
that-
goes, Harbaugh goes,
Yeah.
Flacco goes.
that
We'll
this
restart
has
anew.
kind of been a rumor for over like a year and a half, kind of that maybe after this year he would leave, and I could see that. I want to have a coaching conversation, and I feel like I want to do it now because I don't want it to bog down the game preview. I really do not know. Listen, I know what the math guys think of my head coach. They hate him, and I don't blame them. I personally do not know what to make of Anthony Lynn, although he's got a beautiful wife, and they live far apart. You know, she hosts that the nighttime news in New York City
Does she?
on NBC.
So he could be the new Jets head coach.
Let's not go there. So here's the thing: I cannot
We
complain.
would make every one of those 52 yarders with Myers from 4th and 1 if he was our head coach. I'll tell you that.
Well, let me get to this. So, as a head coach of the Chargers, he's 18-10. If you take out the 4-game streak to start his tenure, he's 18-6, which that alone is very. And there's like a toughness to the team that I'm certain they didn't have before. He's from like a Bill Parcells sort of tree of philosophy. Now and this is 18-10 or 18-6, however you want to slice it. I like to slice it 18-6, without a home game, without a kicker, without a lot of things, Pat. But this is the problem. I worry that, okay, this is an analogy that baseball fans will get, and you two will get, and maybe a lot of Canadians will get, and
Us two are like Bono and The Edge.
No, you too. You too. I am worried that Anthony Lynn is like the Sky Dome.
Oh.
Now, the Sky Dome was built in the
1988,
vein
I think?
88, 89, in the vein of the Astrodome, the Metrodome, the Silverdome, the Superdome.
State of the art.
State of the art when it was built. This like concrete bowl, circle bowl with like these white tops. And then the very next, like a year and a half later, Camden Yards was built. And this new age of how you look at baseball stadium architecture that is like really carried, stadium building into the new future. And then in Toronto, we've just sort of been stuck with this like ashtray by the lake for what? We're almost like a 30-year. It's one of the oldest facilities in the league.
And it's
that
a
isn't
garbage
like,
stadium.
it is. You don't even want to be in there. Like it is a deplorable place to be, especially, and when the team's bad, it's not like Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful stadium. You walk concourse. It's also cold in Pittsburgh. We can freaking handle it here. So I just feel like we've just, like, I like him, but who the freaking goes for that? Who kicks that field goal to start the game? We won that game. We had a comeback. I went to bed still like simmering about kicking that field goal. 4th and 1 on the opening drive against Pittsburgh. You kicked that field goal. Did you watch Ravens Falcons? Of course you did. As I mentioned earlier, the Ravens went for that exact play probably 4 times in the game. And they have Justin Tucker. Not like a 33. Listen, Badgley's been good. Or whatever.
Except for that one time he was severely Andercursed.
His like short sample has been like fine, and it's been the best kicking we've had in a while. But it's not even the kid's fault. I was godsmacked when I saw them when he trotted out on the field.
Pat and I were in the building last year against the Patriots when
it was a very similar situation out of the gate early in the game. So I don't know. There's parts I like him, and then there's parts like we'll never win what's important with that bullshit. Like there's no doubt in my mind. Because that's also like a mindset thing. Even if you don't get it, like you go for that.
This week, to kick off the late games, the Bengals are in LA taking on the Los Angeles Chargers.
Does he watch other teams play football?
Absolutely
you think?
not. Only on tape the week before, maybe. Minus 14 is the spread. This is down from minus 14.5 as the open. 47.5 is the spread. We got Jeff Driscoll at quarterback for the Bengals. No AJ Green anymore. It's rough treading for the Bengals at this point. But now, Jeff, this is going to be a question for you right off the hop. 14 is a really big number. Do you think that the Chargers can cover that number without getting every single call from the refs?
I will not apologize for nothing. Let me put that out there. I will not apologize for nothing. And the Pittsburgh Steelers can shove it up their ass. They won a Super Bowl with Seattle, where like 8 years later, the ref had to like come out and like, apologize profusely for how shit he was. Their coach trips players on the field. I don't think Franco Harris caught the football.
They stole the AFC Championship game from the Jets when Fanico
So the
when
Steelers
tight
can
end
shove it
held
up
and they
their
allowed
ass,
it to be pushed
okay?
down.
Because I heard all from the Steeler fans. Like, they're the last people on earth that should say anything. And I will not apologize for any break. There's calls all over the game. Jalen Smith launches his helmet through Kamara's head on Thursday. That probably puts the Saints on the doorstep to take like a 17-13 lead. Their games are decided every week. There's calls made, won, lost.
And Steelers fans, very whiny about it. They turn into a bunch of Tims when things don't go their way.
The Steelers are losers. And I'll say this. No. The Chargers are losers. But they lined up Bud Dupree and their other linebacker forward on Keenan Allen all night. The biggest plays of the game. They're lining a linebacker up on Keenan Allen. Oh, my God. Maybe the purest route runner in football right now. I could show you some dissected tape. Nobody makes his breaks and gets lower and sells them like the Slayer 13. Okay, back to it. I'm sorry. I actually don't mind the Steelers, but some of their fans really pissed me off because then they don't say anything. When the clock struck midnight, they didn't say anything.
Well, maybe they collided into each other and then the ball landed in the hands of the receiver for a fluky touchdown. So they were unconscious.
Whatever. What are you supposed to do? Should Keenan let it drop?
Let it drop. Not
and
fair.
Like stare at it?
No, it's
No
not.
one says that, but my point was the
Not fair.
Chargers
It's
had
not
to
fair,
have
Tim. It's not fair. You let it hit the
A lot
ground.
of things go right to win a game by 3 points, and I just think
Oh my God! Because they've never like the team that has
they're
so
probably
many
going
things
to play
go.
again in the first round of the playoffs. And if they do,
The Chargers have had so many things go wrong in games they should have won. So why am I supposed to like give a shit? And all like yes, yeah, okay. In the little sample size of the game, they got lucky. But in the bigger picture of attitude and mentality, that's as big of a win, in my opinion, that's happened on the NFL calendar this year, or like right up there.
Unfortunately, no one watched it.
Sure, a lot less people did. That doesn't matter. But my point being is they've now won at Pittsburgh. They now won at Seattle. They went on a 41-day road trip with that days on the road. They didn't lose a game, including going to London. And then they come home and lose to Denver. So maybe the worst thing that could happen to the Chargers is the Chiefs stumbling, them getting ahead and playing home games when it really
well, I wouldn't
matters.
worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it.
So who do you like in this game, Tim?
I like the Chargers.
I'm not done.
Oh, you're not done? Okay.
Well, I want to say the Chargers are incredibly fortunate that they get the Bengals here from a win-loss perspective because as spot games go, the game after that Sunday comeback on the road, sandwiched between the Thursday nighter at KC, I mean, wow. If this was any team like with a pulse, like I assure you, they play the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the Ravens. If it was reversed, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens would punch us right in the face. Like we wouldn't be ready. We wouldn't be ready for it. So we're very. I don't know ATS wise. I'm like I'm pussyfooting on a fence here because it's still a bad spot game. But Driscoll can allow like something real. Like even if it's 10, it can become 17. I'll take the Chargers. But this is a really. I mean, this is as a spot game as it gets, right? I mean, a sandwich game.
I think so too. I'm going to take the Chargers as well. I just think the defense is too much for Driscoll.
But I want to say this. Tim, if you could pull it up for me. The Chargers at home this year, Pat, they have been horrible. Let's start week 1. That lost to Kansas City.
They almost lost to San Francisco.
So week 1, they lost to Kansas City. Then they went to Buffalo. Then they went to St. Louis. Then I was at the game, the San Francisco game. And then they played Oakland. It was only like a 4.5 point spread they covered. People actually thought Oakland was like competent at the time.
I did at that time.
They won that game. And then they went on the road forever and they lost to Denver. Now, in the road, the game in London, which is like a mental road game, counted as a home game. But and then you look at how they played. Then they lost to Denver and the Cardinal game. But like I always say, whether it was the Chargers or someone else, everyone, even the bad teams, have like a home game where they just run train on somebody, right? Like Arizona did, San Francisco. Like everyone sort of has that moment at home, even the good and the bad teams. So at home, they've been real shit. But I don't know, Driscoll, this just sets up for like a defensive touchdown, right?
That's what I'm
doesn't
thinking.
it? Or a real short field.
Even without AJ Green, like it's really tough to even see backdoor here.
In a perfect world, because last year when the Chargers, their Sunday before a Thursday game, they beat the crap out of someone so bad they got to pull everybody, and then they went to Dallas on Thursday for Thanksgiving and killed them. I mean, if like a perfect world, they could be the 14-point favorite that the stats say they are, and it's just such a stress-free game that while the Chiefs are playing a barn burner, that they could sort of take it easy. But
I saw Melvin.
never make it
I saw
easy
Melvin
like that.
Gordon running today. He's angling to play in this game.
I mean, with the game on Thursday, is he going to play? There's no chance, right?
No, there's a chance he can play.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to
Justin
go inside.
Jackson is good.
Oh yeah, Big Ten country promised me he wouldn't
He's
let
a
me down.
good running back. He is an interesting play on DFS.
People who watched the Big Ten over the last few years weren't surprised at what happened. On,
not at all.
On Sunday night.
Someone asked you why I have Phillip Rivers ranked so lowly in my
Yeah, and they're like, "Can you change this?" I'm like, "Hey, like."
Also, what difference would it make if I changed my ranking to that person? Clearly likes Phillip Rivers. He's gonna play Phillip Rivers. Why would me ranking it differently?
But I could see why, like, even though he's been very consistent with fantasy, the 2 touchdowns, the yards, like every week, it does seem like a game that the Chargers want to get out of.
Yeah, like 240 yards and 2 touchdowns.
They just want to get out of. Right?
And defensive touchdowns could be coming from the Chargers. Honestly, if it was you and your fantasy playoffs were on the line this week, would you play Phillip Rivers or Josh Allen? Because I play Josh Allen. Who's like a fantasy superstar.
Yeah, versus the Jets, and you get the rushing yards. I mean, I'm picking Josh Allen based on, in a perfect world, Phillips plays 3 quarters. Or it's like that kind of game where it's like 35-13, I hope, right?
Yeah.
That's what
So Tim,
I can hope for here. I want to like backtrack on some things I said about. It's just the Pittsburgh fans that were bothering me on the internet. The rest of you are great.
the coin has the guts to take the Bengals in the points. Tim, do you? You love the Bengals.
I have loved them every week for about 2.5 months. And I'm like that Japanese soldier who was like marooned and didn't know that World War II was over until like the 1960s. When it comes to the Bengals, I now know the war is over. I'm done with them. I'm taking the Chargers. I want nothing to do with the Bengals
Isn't
anymore.
this when you play the Bengals?
Yes.
Maybe.
Just remember,
but
who did it? The Eagles have gone.
And they did it with Oakland. And then they've covered 2 games in a row.
Eagles are still a dead team. The Bengals are now a dead team. I wish that were not the case, but listen, Dalton's out, Green is out. Hugh Jackson brings disaster with him everywhere he goes. Ever since he's come to the Bengals, Bengals have gone from a team that had a pretty decent chance to make the playoffs to a team that might legit finish 5-11. It's a shame. Yeah, this set up to be a really tough game for the Chargers a month and a half ago. Now it's a piece of cake, and I think it will be. I think they take care of business before sadness arrives next Thursday.
So what will you quit? I'll give you an out. You can quit being a Jets fan if Hugh Jackson's their next coach.
Absolutely not. I don't care who they hire. I am a Jets fan. I will never, ever, ever go. I have been with the team longer than Hugh Jackson would have been, and I will be there long after Hugh Jackson leaves.
Tim, what's your spread for Thursday next week?
It should be Chiefs by 5. I think.
I thought you were going to say like 12.
When he said, when he said
5, 4.5, 5, it should be in about there.
When he's starting with that first syllable, I thought he was going to say 14.
Yeah, well, the way he talks, I thought it was we were for sure like going to be.
And honestly, the loss might be the best thing that could happen to the Chargers because they would lock in the 5 seed and they could basically rest the last couple of weeks of the year and get ready for the rematch against Pittsburgh or maybe Baltimore. Like, I don't know. The loss would seal the division and like they can sort of rest a little bit and get ready for the playoffs. Like, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
This is usually the time of year where Tim tweets that by this time next year, this weekend next year, the Jets will be locking up their playoff spot.
Yeah.
He does that every year around this time, just for the record.
I'm
Like,
sure I'll be doing
like
it
in a
again.
year from now, I'll be wearing my AFC East champions hat.
Which he would buy. What a
I'm
loser.
too busy scouting out Cotton Bowl gear. Thank you kindly.
You're gonna get a Final Four playoff participation shirt.
It's called it's not called any of those things, and I want some Cotton Bowl swag so I can wear it during the Cotton Bowl when Notre Dame wins against Clemson.
So it only took us 40 minutes to get through those two games. As expected, I thought that would be.
You did the coaches thing though.
Yeah, we did, and you got to have your
Yeah.
whole rant on Octavia Spencer.
Listen, I didn't think he would ever not be Octavia again after that first drive. I almost broke. I don't want to talk.
Okay, let's speed through the rest of these games here. Denver at San Francisco. Emmanuel Sanders blew out his Achilles in practice today. So he done.
What?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Still doesn't change my opinion.
On Emmanuel Sanders? You still think he's
On
a
the
good
Broncos.
do you think he's a good start this week?
No, but I think that the Broncos only being 5-point favorites is way too short.
Yeah.
What have the Niners done over the last several weeks to make you think they? Well, I don't understand why the Niners keep getting this ridiculous respect from Vegas every single week. when
You're
they-
the one that
they-
was respecting them.
Not since they put this terrible quarterback under center.
He's
who was
very
verified for no
jealous of
reason.
Nick Mullins.
You're
'cause
the
he's so
one.
much
You're
better
the
than
one
Trevor.
that was like living off that Packer game for like a month and a half. Tim,
That's back when they had beat Beathard, and I thought that
he's
actually
just as bad.
No, I don't think so. I think Beathard was.
Anyways,
I mean, Beathard went toe to toe, but then again, that Packers team is bad, so I
Yeah.
guess we shouldn't have taken much from
and
it.
I do agree with Tim. Even though Denver, like just like last week, the line climbed. They're public. They'll be public again. I can't make a case to not play them.
I'm taking the Niners.
This-
here.
this-
this seems like such a letdown. I stuck with Denver last week because the Bengals are so bad. Not saying the Niners are really any good, but back at home, coming off a drubbing, we saw Mullins for over 400 yards last week. I don't think that Denver puts up the numbers that Seattle put up on them, and they could backdoor this pretty easily. I think this number goes up from 5, but I'll take the Niners +5.
Do you want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
This is the best
No,
defense.
lie to us.
This is the best defense Nick Mullins has played.
Probably.
So I think there's when you get bad quarterbacks against good defenses, bad quarterbacks who are inexperienced, Pat, and with the new league rules of player safety, they don't practice nearly as much in the week as they used to. There's not nearly the amount of time and reps to get a Nick Mullins ready and capable. Trouble again.
This feels like one of the games that comes down to the wire. Denver sleepwalks through the first half, and they win by 3. in the end.
Unfortunately, I do respect your backing of just there's not really reasons here, but I'm gonna back these home teams like you did. Oh, I guess the Jets were on, or not Buffalo. What game were we talking about before? Washington. Yeah. It kind of feels like that. Like everyone's loving Denver. I do the scenario generator.
And we did it last week too, and we stuck with Denver. Tim went with Cincinnati based on
Well-
very much the same logic. I just think it eventually catches up with Denver.
Have you been playing with the playoff machine, Jeff?
A little bit. And every time, I mean, I haven't done it since the Sanders news, but I don't know that I would change that. But Denver keeps squeaking in there. And a big part of it,
They have
though,
a
is
super easy schedule.
a big part of it is they do have an easy schedule. And I'm not like a fool. I play that game. I try to give Kansas City. I'm not like just blindly giving the Chargers the division. I put the Chargers in the 5-speed playing probability. And that has me giving Denver
the win over them in week 17.
Week 17,
it doesn't matter.
Phillip plays like 3 snaps for his start streak, and it's 3 handoffs and gone.
Yeah.
And then Denver can win the game.
I picked Denver to make the play. I actually picked them to win the division.
Yeah.
Shitty pick because it's me. But I do think that this defense could be good enough. Chris Harris is now out for the year. They just lose Sanders for the year. They're starting offense. I mean, Lindsey's been amazing. But if there's one thing that the Niners don't suck at, it is run defense. They're like 16th instead of being like last or third last like they are in terms of pass defense. It just seems like a game where Keenum's going to do something stupid. It'll just be close. That's how I envision this going. 2017 Denver kind of thing.
Bad quarterbacks, good defenses. I could just see numbers getting cleared, even if it's a close game.
Next game, Lions and Arizona. The coin pick San Francisco there. 3 is the home dog for the Cardinals in this matchup. 40.5 is the over-under. This might be the worst game of the season.
I love it.
Really?
I also don't understand the spread.
You start then, Jeff.
I just want to say history tells us one thing. The Lions are incredibly consistent. As shocking as that might As shocking as that might seem, they're incredibly consistent, Pat. one thing they do is they're not good enough to play to the level of the good teams that they play, but they don't, like a lot of teams, they don't play down to like really bad teams. They don't. And for that reason, they will win this football game. I like it. The spread is weird to me. The Lions lose the games for the most part they should lose, and they win the games that they should win. Their effort is very consistent, and I think that they're just better than there's more there than on Arizona.
My problem is from the Detroit offensive side of the ball. Like, I picked Detroit to cover the 10 against the Rams last week, and they really should have covered the 10 against the Rams.
They should have.
They're just horrible.
Yeah.
So that's not good. But no Kerryon Johnson has really affected this offense. You have Patrick.
Should he be back?
He might be back. He's more unlikely to play than likely to play. So you got LeGarrette Blount, so they'll just run the ball like 500 times in this game. Patrick Peterson basically takes away Kenny Golladay, doesn't he? Scenario like having,
Yeah, but like, what's taking away Kenny Golladay?
They're one vertical threat. They're one way to move. Like, they're going to be throwing like 17 balls to Bruce Ellington in this game and Theo
Or
Riddick.
TJ Jones, who could actually be a real player in this game.
Okay, then I like Arizona to cover. I think that their defense, I think that their pass rush gets in the face of Stafford and causes them to make something stupid out of it.
I mean, this line implies it would be Lions by 9 in Detroit. And would you lay 9 points with this Lions team right now? I sure wouldn't. So I just think at the moment.
I never like that argument.
Well, but it's a fact.
It's not, though, because the line wouldn't be -9 Detroit in Detroit.
Well, that's what the implication of the line is.
But that's not actually true, though, because if this was in Detroit, max 4.5.
Then the value here is getting those points with the Cardinals. I'm with you. I just think Cardinals
Paul has something to point out. Yes, Paul?
Yeah, that general rule got debunked with the Rams game getting switched from Mexico City. Like, the line didn't change.
That's a good point.
Neutral zone to whatever.
Yeah, could you hear that, Tim?
Bullshit.
I could, but like part of that is right what Paul said, but part of that was you could only make the Chiefs such a big dog before they would just
sure, but it's the same. It's the same way in this. You could only make the Lions such a big favorite at home before everyone took the Cardinals.
I think if you made it the Lions -4, it wouldn't affect the line that much.
Sure, that's why I'm saying it would be 4, not 9.
No, I'm talking about in this game. If you made the Lions,
no, man, Arizona coming off a win in Green Bay, back at home, good pass rush against a guy who's just constantly on his ass. Like, I see it. That's why I'm taking Arizona. I think they win.
Yeah, I'm taking Arizona too because I think they win. I think Arizona's just as good as Detroit is. I like them.
Okay, Philly, Dallas. This game is in Dallas, coming off a big win, get some extra rest, pumping the tires. Do you know what I've read all week, Geoff? Are the Dallas Cowboys legitimate Super Bowl contenders?
They're overrated.
Fun fact, they're not. I'm taking Philly +3.5.
I can make it quick.
I don't love it, but this Dallas thing runs out of steam at some point.
I don't love it either, but to me, it's as simple as you beat the Saints on Thursday night, you're instantly overrated. Give me Philly. I don't like it because Philly has some deficiencies.
I mean, they have a lot. They're not very good.
I mean, I think Tim alluded to it. Even in winning on Monday,
they look bad.
I saw a lot that.
Should calm down there, Sigs.
I saw a lot that made me think they're dead.
Well, Tim has proclaimed them as dead.
And there's a
since they've won.
No, okay, I'm not like Tim dead, but there's just a lack of creativity I'm seeing on both sides of the ball. I know there's injuries, but we are seeing firsthand when you win the Super Bowl. What you don't do is write a book on how to win a Super Bowl. You just you work on replacing the 2 coordinators that you lost because you won the Super Bowl. That's the most important. Philly gets in these like 4th and shorts now. And it's not like fun and creative anymore. It's generic I form that gets stuffed like 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Like
Precisely.
The majority of the time.
Yeah, this is unfortunate for them that this
Frank
game
Reich is gone, and Joe, I forget who's the D coordinator, Filippo, or someone left.
Filippo, he went to Minnesota.
Yeah, left them. So that next time you win the Super Bowl, replace your coordinators. That's number 1 priority because you're going to lose your coordinators when you win the Super Bowl. And then worry about writing the book after you win multiple Super Bowls, Doug.
I'll still
picking the Eagles.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's a huge coaching advantage on either side. Both coaches seem like they're kind of bad. I'll take Wentz over Dak. Dak's look better. Dak should have a pretty decent game.
But like to
here.
me, Dallas can just beat Baltimore and get 3.5, 4
They can,
carry, and you're nuts.
But here's the biggest thing: they're missing their most important player this week, Cole Beasley. not playing.
Do you want to expand on that?
He's
or-
just great. Cole's the best. He opens up everything for that entire offense. Team would be terrible without Cole Beasley. I don't know, I'm trying to make an actual case for Philly, and I can't really take it other than I think the world's going to be on Dallas, so I'll take Philly.
Yeah,
But that's sort of my mentality this week. Actually thinking about the games and logically picking them has not worked out for me this year. So I'll just go this way. Tim, you.
fair enough.
I adore the Cowboys this week. The last 6 weeks, the last 7 weeks, pretty much every button they've pushed worked. I mean, all the people, particularly the people on Twitter who mocked the Amari Cooper trade, have not said boo about it in the last 6 weeks because they were dead wrong and the Cowboys were right to make the trade.
You preach when people get on you when you say something's a good trade and it doesn't immediately work out. You always say, you can't judge a trade after a few games. You have to wait a few years.
But this
I
trade
still
was
think it's a
all
bad
predicated
trade.
I think
on
it
this
is too.
I still think it's a bad trade. I'll die on the hill if it's a bad trade.
If
So
they
what,
win the
they're gonna-
division, it's a
so
brilliant
what?
trade. You'll trade a first-round pick for a division
No, you won't.
championship.
A division like
When you
when
cheer,
you win your division at 8-8,
no. When you cheer for the marquee franchise of the AFC, you trade anything for a division championship. Give me a fucking break.
Yes, Dallas would first-round picks are busts as often as you will trade that to go to the playoffs with a running back who has a short shelf life, and you need an opportunity to try to maximize it. A quarterback who needs the confidence boost of getting back in the playoffs after not getting their first year. It was a great trade. I mean, the Raiders got well compensated for it. Cooper is 24 years old. The kid is going to be a stud. He has been a stud for the Cowboys. They needed an injection of life into an
the
offense
trade
that was
is safe
starving.
face. I will not call it a good trade, but they have safe
was
face on the trade, in my
worked.
opinion.
Because their defense is playing really well.
First rounders are like firstborns. They're just unless you're
yeah,
trading
I
them
know
in a
there's this-
package
I know there's this whole
unless you're
obsession
trading them in a package for you're just desperate for QB1 and that's where you're going on draft day. That's the only thing I could ever trade them for.
They got a marquee 24-year-old wide receiver
Who's going to have to be paid like he's like a top 8 receiver in the league next year, and he's not. He's not.
Because he is.
He's not.
Yes, he is. And he's proving that he pretty much is the only real pass catcher they've got outside of Elliott. He's been great.
I'm not
If he's
saying they
healthy,
didn't need a receiver, but I don't know.
Dallas gets in the playoffs with their defense and the ability they have on offense. They will cause real damage.
Yeah, they could be a matchup
Will
problem.
they cause more problems than if Washington gets in the playoffs and Mark Sanchez is on the road?
Well, it's hard to say.
Like, what if that's the first round matchup? Washington at Dallas. Like, is that a guaranteed loss for Dallas?
Do
No,
you know
probably.
those quarterbacks
But look-
that Mark Sanchez beat?
They were very good.
I did
Decade
name them,
ago.
yeah.
They're very good.
Very good.
Anyway,
That's what Tim's holding.
Dallas-
Do you want to know something? That
Dallas
actually day versus the
mathematically, I think,
Chargers
clinches the-
was a bad day. I came home in pieces. I think I collapsed in my driveway. My wife the next day found my broken glasses lying outside the house.
You wear glasses?
To watch multiple screens.
Ah. So
For
you're not-
screen watching.
do you have lady glasses like Arian?
No, I pretty much wear glasses to play FIFA, video game, and watch football.
Garion left his glasses at my house on Friday night when everyone was over.
You couldn't see?
And no, he couldn't
He had
see.
to wear lady
But
glasses?
then my
backup pair?
grandma was in town and my aunt was in town and Sam didn't notice when she saw these glasses, and it was after my grandma left, she thought they were my grandma's glasses. So Dallas for you, Tim?
Yeah, I think the Cowboys all but mathematically clinched the division on Sunday afternoon. Put the Eagles away and finish it.
Okay. Pittsburgh and Oakland. Let's make this as quick as possible. 10.5
Raiders.
is the spread. Oh, you're back on the Raiders?
For this game, Pittsburgh's been sleepwalking. Oakland's a super tough place to play. I think that hook is enough to entice me to take the Raiders. I think the Steelers win it by 7.
I'll join them.
You're taking Oakland too? I'm going to take Pittsburgh here. The coin likes Oakland as well. Pittsburgh go. This is actually a decision I have. I'm actually alive in an eliminator.
Oh.
I haven't used the Steelers yet. And
Yeah,
there's
they'll win.
There's no other good team, and I purposely went out of my way to not use the Steelers on the road all year. But I'm
Take the Bills. You love the Bills.
I believe I took the Bills against the Jets last time.
No, you didn't. You thought that McCown was going to kill.
Oh, that's
the,
right. I had them in, and then I took them out
Take
because
the
McCown
Bills.
played. I know. I'm going to take Pittsburgh. They're the biggest favorite I can take here because I've used that. The Chargers would have been the play, but obviously I can't use them, so I'll take the Steelers. I think they're going to whack.
I mean,
someone.
the other touchdown favorite you have losing outright.
Yes, and I've used the Chiefs too, so they're just off the board. I don't have enough confidence that the Ravens are just going to lock them in.
Listen, the Ravens and the Cowboys are very bad matchups in the playoffs for some of these high-powered teams.
Like Tim said, defense has never lost a game ever.
But Tim also doesn't like Tim. Like to me, I think they're Frankenstein style, which is just how like football was played.
It can only work for so long, but I just think it works this week for the Ravens.
Yeah, but like I'm telling you, Bill Belichick isn't afraid of the Chargers. He's afraid of the Ravens.
I would agree with that.
Rams and Bears Sunday night.
I mean, getting like a playoff matchup.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I do agree.
Rams and Bears Sunday night. Bears getting 3 at home, 51.5 is the over-under. You walked in here, Geoff, very disappointed this wasn't 3.5.
Yeah, because I've been seeing 3.5s, and I'm not going to lie here. I'm going to back the Chicago Bears. If Trubisky's not playing, then I'll rescind this entirely. But staring down, Pat, the tough road games of the Rams this year. Let's go through them.
Detroit, Arizona, San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Okay, well, I've selected 3 tougher ones. They lost to the Saints. I'm not saying the Bears are the Saints, but they lost that Saints game. The Seahawk game, it was one of their toughest games of the year. It was a 3-point game. And I believe their game at Denver, who subsequently, a month later has become one of the tougher road games, I think, looking back on the schedule. They won by 3, so they haven't really proven themselves on the road to me. And I'll take the Chicago Bears here.
Chance they rush Trubisky back here because unlike Sam Darnold, he's not just going to fake injuries and not play. They want him back.
Yes, he has to be ready to go because me picking them is so dependent on him being able to get 3rd and 5 with his feet.
This line indicates that he is playing.
Yes,
it's not +3 with Chase Daniels.
They're beyond. They're very confident. It's not off the board. It was 3.5. It's down to 3. Like they seem hyper confident he's going to play. If you watch, I think it was today or maybe it was yesterday's, but I saw it today. Pressers out of Chicago. He seems incredibly confident, and coach seemed incredibly confident that he will be playing. I guess Vegas is riding that confidence with what that spread is. I'm banking on him being able to get those 3rd and 5s with his feet. Without that, like they're dead.
I don't know who to take in this game because I do think the Rams win. If it's only 3 points, I should just take the team that I think is going to win.
You should.
So I'll take the Rams here. I think that they can do enough on the ground to really control the pace of this game. I don't like that the Bears lost last week at the Giants. I would have preferred they win that game by like 45. Coming back, riding high. They might even be favored in this game.
And that was the spot. I mean, you look at the Bears off Thanksgiving, which is always a big emotional day. That last week versus the Giants was the sandwich game between Thanksgiving and the Rams, and they got with a backup.
So Tim, Rams for me, Bears for Geoff, Rams for the coin. Yourself.
I'm going to take the Bears. It's just as much, I think, a play on the Bears as it is against the Rams to some degree. I mean, when the Rams played the best defense they played all year in Denver, they did not look great, and they didn't cover that number. I think they won by 3 points. So they're now going on the road in the freezing cold of a Sunday night game in Chicago against the best defense in football. Tough spot. I mean, I think that, we talked about McVay and all the creativity he has.
Bad at the end of games.
But the one thing that you can't scheme out of is weather and intensity from the defense. And just like as a rule, when you have a great offense up against a great defense, more often than not, the defense prevails. So on that sort of lengthy case history, I'm taking the Bears in this spot. I mean, the Bears are a really good team. Without Trubisky, not touching it, I'll play the Rams pretty much at any number. But if you're going to give me Trubisky, I'm going to take the Bears. I think they're going to win the football game.
Case what Tim is pointing to for defense over great offenses has backed up by no numbers. whatsoever. That's just Tim headcanon. I believe
No,
what
it is backed up
the
by
numbers are in the
Argo.
past 5 years that offenses ranked inside the top 5 DVOA versus defenses ranked inside the top 5 in DVOA are like not only 80% outright winners, but cover like 70% of the time.
In the biggest games, there is no debate.
Well,
In
Tim,
the
I'm
big
sorry to
games,
tell you, this isn't the fucking biggest game. It's a Sunday night
Well,
game in week 14
this is likely
on two
to be
teams that are
there
going to
for
make the playoffs.
two teams that are likely to play in the second round of the playoffs. Yeah, a big game, almost by definition, almost undisputably so.
But when you
So-
said big games, you were only talking about the Super Bowl.
Not just the Super Bowl.
Because you have no numbers to back up what you're saying. You're just
I can
thinking
go
that
through-
you
I
remember
can
that
go
this is
through-
what happened, so what happened? It's once again
I can go
another
through a
example
slew.
of living. Yeah, you'll just pick isolated examples and not remember anything else. You do this all the
I can
time.
go through a
You're just
slew of
living
playoff
your
games. It's like-
truth, sir. Quit living
Okay,
your
if-
truth.
Thursday
Quick.
night was it was proof. You had the entire world saying for the Thursday night game, you can't slow down the Saints. You can't keep them under 20 points. You can't keep them under 25
It
points.
happened last Thursday, Jeff.
Cannot be
It
done.
happened last Thursday.
It can be done.
I mean, yes,
That's-
it can be
that's
done.
what
You're
it
saying
is.
it always happens.
What I'm
You
annoyed
said
by
more
are the
often
people
than not.
But the thing is, his
that the NFL
example
is so
is the
completely
most.
transformed.
His example
think
is
the
the
NFL
most
is so-
variable situation, like Thursday nighters. Like every football fan, like
But no, that game was not a normal Thursday nighter because both teams had a week off. So it's really, I mean, it was
doesn't
playing on a
count.
Thursday, but it was a Sunday game, right? I mean, that's not a true Thursday
I'm
night.
not taking anything away from the Cowboys. They punched the Saints in the mouth, but the Saints were clearly like sleepwalking a bit, and they deserved to get punched in the mouth, and they got.
I'm just saying there's this obsession around football. They think the whole league has been completely transformed and the defense doesn't matter. And that all that matters if you have a high-paced offense, you hear expressions like this team can't be stopped or that can't be stopped, which of course is always hyperbole, but is meant by people not in a hyperbolic sense. They really think that certain offenses cannot be stopped. Well, history and the league is here to tell you not only can they be stopped, they are more likely to be stopped than not.
But that's
at
not
some
true.
point.
But that is, at some point.
It is true.
And
The
so,
best
you're
offenses
going to take it
never
right
win a-
now that this is the week that it just stops. So you're going to point to it happens at some point. So this is clearly the game where it stops.
I think this is where it happens. I'm
Then
not-
why didn't you take Baltimore to beat Kansas City?
Pardon me, because nothing is certain, and I think that the Ravens struggle at quarterback. I think the quarterback will make too many mistakes.
Do you know that
And
the
I-
Ravens hold teams to scoring 30.5% less points per game than their average?
Yeah,
you
but
play
then
the
so for
Ravens?
Kansas City,
Yeah,
that's
but-
what, like
but
31 points
they're-
a game now.
They're no good though.
Yeah, but
It
if you hold
doesn't
Kansas
work for
City to
Tim's
30
argument if he picks that.
I am going to make my point no matter how many times you interrupt me.
Now we're
I'm-
actually you picked
That's a
Chicago.
huge-
We're moving on to the next game.
So that's how I win. an argument,
Minnesota.
folks. Thank you.
It's not because we don't need to hear you make up facts
I am
and
citing
continually go.
bulletproof-
You're not.
Listen.
You're not citing any facts. You're headcanoning anything.
He's-
Well, it's
I'm
eventually
not.
going to happen, so it's going to
Headcanoning is
happen
not
right
his
now.
word.
He's citing the
Use
age-old
your words.
adage that offense sells
No,
tickets and
headcanon
defense
to you
wins
is
championships.
stuff you make up that you remember that isn't true. It's again just a symptom of you living your
You
truth.
don't know what you're talking about.
You
Let's move
don't
on.
know what you're talking about.
Yes, I do.
Clearly,
Let's move on.
Monday nighter. Minnesota at Seattle. 3.5 is this number. Minnesota. Rough week for them. That game should have been closer than it was, and Kirk Cousins went full Tim on us here. Tim was right about Kurt last week. Would not take a shot down the field.
Kirk Cousins is a loser.
No, Kirk Cousins is fine.
No,
Sam Darnold's a
I
loser.
might still be on the Vikings this week, but that was infuriating. As somebody, listen, like when things aren't, and I guess it's my basis point for comparison, I apologize. But
Are you just going to say something that's not true and pretend it is true and then cite it as fact?
no, I'm going to say when Phillip Rivers is down like 2 touchdowns, like 8 minutes left, he's up chucking. And yeah, that like will probably end in an interception, but he's not this blood dump, like whatever the hell Kirk Cousins was doing. And it wasn't like one play. Like that 4th down got isolated, like the midfield 4th down, and they were down like 2 scores. But it was every play. It was every play. Embarrassing. Throw the ball.
It was really strange.
Even if the coverage isn't perfect, you got to throw the ball, man. Wow. That was bad. That was bad. Even like my dad, who doesn't like, he's just watching like the America's Game of the Week. Or, that's what Fox calls their like big 4
Oh, is that what
o'clock
they call
game. Yeah. It's like, he doesn't know, who's who. He knows the Patriots because they're always in big games, but
Well,
couldn't believe what Kirk Cousins.
I'll
doing.
pose this to Tim. It was very anti-Kirk Cousins just in general. But who is lining up to bet Minnesota plus 3.5 here? With Seattle at home?
Yeah, I can't imagine too many. And if I'm not mistaken, the game opened at 2.5, right? It's a strange number. I get it. I mean, yeah, the whole world saw the Vikings on Sunday look completely pathetic against the Patriots, scoring 10 points against the Patriots defense. Not impressive. Yeah, I don't know who he is. Seattle is one of the, other than probably Houston, the hottest team in football right now. And yeah, the Vikings in a couple of big spots against the Bears a couple of Sunday nights ago, and then last week against the Patriots, sandwiched in between a Packers win, which that win does not look burnished in the last few weeks. Yeah, I don't know who is betting the Vikings, and so I think the Vikings would be a complete contrarian play. But I hate the Vikings, so I'm taking the Seahawks.
And I'll take the Vikings because it fits my motif of the week of taking all the teams that no one wants to take.
See, I back that. Here, I'm going to be on the Vikings. I don't know why I'm not on those other games, but it's kind of the reason. But I just think there's something. I'm dumb enough to think that there's something in them because they've played horrible. You look at their games against the good teams that they've played. They have not shown up in anything.
If that's the case, you should just take Seattle because Seattle's going to whack.
No,
Seattle is a good team.
I'm seeing that roulette wheel and being no, the Vikings, there is a big game performance inside the guy I just called a loser.
There's also the whole narrative too.
I already hate making
What is
the
it called?
pick. No, I already hate that I made the pick, but I'm making it, and I hate that. Oh, never mind.
If you believe in, I don't want to say the NFL is fixed in any sort of way, but if Minnesota wins this game, it's like Lance Armstrong, all PED'd up, going up the Alps. Someone just walks out of nowhere and just sticks a stick in his spokes. Seattle loses this game, Minnesota wins. The NFC wildcard picture is out of control.
That's good then. Then that's good TV.
That's what I'm
the
saying.
AFC wildcard picture is in good. Well, I guess it's big blow for the AFC wildcard picture if Baltimore pulls off your upset.
Yes.
Yes, big time.
Because that would almost.
No, because if Denver wins too, then they're still tied. Although Baltimore has
No,
the tiebreaker.
No,
the
Baltimore's
Ravens have
up
one
on
game
them.
lead.
Oh, yeah, that's right. They're up actually 1.5 games on
Yeah.
because Baltimore killed them when they played.
Yeah, the team, actually, it's the Dolphins, I think, that have the best shot in terms of sometimes.
The Dolphins,
Whatever. I think the
again,
Dolphins are still.
When the Dolphins beat the Jets a month ago, they were out-yarded by exponential amount. The same thing. The Bills out-yarded them again. Their last 2 wins, they've been out-yarded.
Yeah, because they're the
2-1.
Bills. They're the Bills of this year. They probably will be the 6th seed when all is said and done.
Is their schedule easy enough?
No, probably. They play the AFC East. They play the Patriots.
They've got that game in Buffalo.
They
That
do,
but
but they'll
won't
somehow.
win.
I know. Listen. They probably won't win that game, but this is the year that maybe they do. They won it
No,
last
they
year.
won't. They won't.
Anyway,
They won't.
let's do super locks of the week. I'm taking Baltimore plus 6.5. I guarantee you can get 7 by Sunday though, and I like that money line. Tim.
Oh, I really don't have a game that I absolutely love this week.
Pick Washington plus 3.5.
No, I picked the Giants to win the game, so no. I will take. Make me third. You go first, Geoff.
Okay. I feel like when I do this, I end up picking the wrong one, but it gives a lot of good options, and overall they do well. So I'm deciding between Atlanta and Indy. Tim's hyper confidence in Green Bay is always a positive for Atlanta, but I think Indy. I like Indy.
You like Indy?
Yeah.
So Indy plus was it 4?
Yeah, it's gonna be a really close game. 4.5.
4.5.
Yeah.
Indy plus 4.5. I've never seen you stumped on a super lock, Tim.
I know. I'm having trouble.
What are
this
you
week.
deciding between? Have we got any teaser plays yet?
No.
I decided this week to be sneaky and hold them to the end and increase the drama. I thought that would be good for SEO value. So
Because there's so many people that have been watching this
and winning all their money.
waiting. They've been waiting. I wonder what games are on that team.
Well, you know what?
It
Even
would
for those
add
people who like to
add
play
SEO
against,
value.
He doesn't know what it means. You've explained it to him 17
And
times.
he found out what each individual letter means. He still has no idea.
But he's also really bright.
Yeah. No one's taking that away from him.
so I also thought I would hold it to the end, so the people who like to play against my parlay would have to wait to the end to hear it. And so All right. Because I'm not going to get them under a touchdown for a while. I'll take the Chiefs -6.5 and go
I
against
love
you.
that.
We've been against each other a lot this week in picks, so let's do it out.
I am against him a ton. I think you are too.
So is Pat. Pat's against me on a
Yeah,
bunch too.
we're actually on the same page on a lot of this stuff.
This could be a very big swing week. Not that it's going to happen, but it could happen.
So what's your free money teaser, sir? Or the dead money
Oh.
teaser, as some people call it?
Well, only Russell calls it that, but
That could catch on. What 3-11 for the year?
You guys
you
are
know,
on
he's
a
got-
first name basis now?
well, when you're hanging on to a 70-1 ticket, that's like a 20-1 ticket today.
It's,
Like,
it's actually 33-1 today.
33. Okay, so it's,
I saw Russell tweeting I was just like, just put Tim on your tweets. Because he's like talking about it, but obviously, like after our jokes last week, it's like, okay, like you just want to give Tim more credit. Like, just do it, Russ.
And by the way, I
Tim
will
is big
accept
on
that credit.
Tim is big on credit that is involved with not winning things.
I
Yeah.
will accept that credit.
No, listen, it's
He
a
enjoys
good bet.
pre-credit of outcomes.
Seattle, they're on a heater.
I thought I did a good job today, not bragging about how I have the Texans picked as my other AFC Championship contender, and they're a 3 seed. And the 4 teams I picked for the NFL Final Four are the 1 and 2 seeds in the NFC right now, and the 1 and 3 seed in the AFC right now. I thought I did a pretty restrained job, not bragging about that.
But the only thing that you actually committed to and putting money on was the Patriots not to win the
But,
AFC
like,
East.
Hold on a second, though. He says this. What was my Super Bowl? Saints Patriots?
Yeah.
Like, oh, should I be like taking credit?
If you'd like to.
No. Because I really want it to be Saints Chargers. But no. Like, because no. Just doesn't work like that. Like, lots of people had the Rams or your Chiefs pick. Because a lot of people
Well, and
were-
obviously the Chiefs and the Rams aren't going to go to the Super Bowl because eventually they'll play a good defense and they're auto loss.
That is a real concern. That is why I really need them to play.
So why are
each
you
other.
giving each other? Why should you be wasting your time
I'm giving the
giving
credit because
yourself
they're
credit
clearly going to lose.
when it's going to backfire? You know it's going to backfire based on the defense will win the game.
Yeah, so it's going to be Chicago versus Baltimore in the Super Bowl. I have
Or
both.
Dallas.
Dallas.
Or Dallas, yeah. So what's your free money tease?
Okay, so it's a 7-pointer, or yeah, it's a 6.5 pointer. Sorry.
Okay.
No, it's a 7-pointer. I keep lying.
Oh my
We're gonna
God.
we're gonna tease through 0, and we're gonna take the Chiefs to +0.5 point. We are gonna tease down the Chargers. We're gonna to -7. We're gonna tease down New England to a pick. We're gonna tease up Chicago to +10, and we are gonna tease up Gotham City's New York Jets to +10. I have to say, the new shirts they're wearing on the sidelines say Gotham City are amazing. And I really, really, really want them.
That is cool because I say the majority of them because they've sort of done this thing where every team has their own like saying. I haven't liked like
No,
95%
most of them have not
of
been good.
The Charger one, and I'm like, I am a sucker for a sideline hoodie. Like I wouldn't even like take it at 50% off.
Did
Just
it-
says like Bolt.
Did it trigger
Ugly.
you that in the Batman movies they used Chicago as exteriors for Gotham City and then went to Pittsburgh and used Heinz Ward for the football game?
No, it didn't trigger me. I have that's part of my. Well, maybe we'll get into New Year's resolutions later. My New Year's resolution is to not get upset by things like that anymore.
Yeah, good luck with that. Good
I'm gonna
fucking luck.
I'm gonna let that roll off my back. It's a new leaf. It's a calmer, less upset about things.
It's happened before. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give two plays that I like. I give out some specials sometimes. I've yet to win one yet, but they're usually like parlays and things like that. So if we hit both these, we're up money for the year. Over 47 in Cleveland, Carolina, parlayed with over 49.5, and Indy and Houston that plays plus 265. I like those both independently as well. And Baltimore money line plus 265. Let's go. Maybe we can get even better by the end of the week.
That's pretty impressive, Pat.
What?
You know what else is impressive? There's one team in the entire league that is in the top 10 in total offense, scoring offense, total defense, and scoring defense.
The Los Angeles Chargers.
Might be, yeah.
I think Denver's there now too, aren't they?
They are not in scoring offense.
I think they're like the third or like ninth offense overall in DVOA. So I think they'd be close.
They run the ball very effectively. All right,
Yeah.
that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. I'd like to thank The Coin for being here. I'd also like to thank Tim Undergust.
Tim Andergust.
That is not my name.
I did want to thank you for being here, though.
Well, that I appreciate.
When do you have to make the decision on if you sign up for
Gentle
Aqua
Aquafit.
Fit?
I don't think I have a deadline.
There must be a
but
registration.
I think it's a rolling class where you can just come in whenever you'd like.
Oh, some noob coming into Gentle Aquafit. You get heckled.
Well, once football season is over, I want to start taking like some classes on the weekends,
Like painting
woodworking
class?
stuff. Yeah, woodworking, painting.
You should
swimming.
do not take a
computer
woodworking class. You will cut off your hand.
I don't. You have so little faith in me.
Your
I
dad
once made a cat house all by myself.
His dad tried to get him on Canada's worst handyman.
Yes, and I came close too. I didn't make the cut, but I came. But I made a cat house once. Like I used
What the hell's a
particle
cat
board.
house?
It's like a dog house, but for a cat. It was pretty impressive.
I've never heard of that
all-
before.
Well, no one had, but I thought it'd be a good idea, so I made it.
Tim also could be on Canada's worst driver.
So you made a dog
I
house.
am not a bad
He's a
driver.
horrible
cautious
driver.
driver.
He drives 10 below the speed limit at all times and won't turn on the max AC because it takes up too much gas.
So the speed limit is maximum speed in optimum conditions. That's what the posted speed limit means. And so that's what I try to abide by. And yes, I don't use max AC because air conditioning makes the engine work harder. It's not great for the car to be running the air conditioning, particularly at max when it doesn't need to. It's like this. It's like leaving your fan on when you turn the car off. That's hard on the engine. You should turn the fan off and the music off before you turn your car off because it makes the battery work extra hard when you turn it on. It's just common sense. I am a practical driver. I drive to arrive and I drive to be safe and secure. That is how I am.
Imagine,
And I have no apology for that.
Imagine being in the car for all that extra time because you're driving like 10 below anywhere you go and not having max AC on when it's
Listen,
hot
I
out.
would assume he drives like everyone else in Aqua Gentle Fit.
He does. The amount of yelling that anywhere driving with Tim about him like not turning, like if we're trying to pull out of somewhere and there's clearly a lane to turn out and him not going.
Yeah.
And
'Cause he
everyone
needs, like,
being
three empty lanes.
furious in the
Three empty
car.
lanes to turn
Well,
out
but
a right
what's
hand
another
turn
couple of
into a-
seconds to ensure that I don't get into a car crash and nothing bad happens?
Just don't be a coward. Like my general mantra for this week of fantasy football and the fantasy playoffs, don't be a fucking coward. That's my advice for you in driving too. Because
Well, I
you
like to
people out there, I mean, Montreal is the single best place to drive in the world. People drive like what Tim would say, maniacs, but everyone drives as fast as they can, makes aggressive lane changes,
don't like
and
that.
everyone gets to where they're going on time. It's the people like Tim that gum up the works, driving 20.
I don't drive 20. I drive the posted speed limit.
You drive well below.
Or slightly
You
below when the
drive below
weather's
that.
inclement. When the weather's inclement, I do. Or it's dark.
You follow Geoff on Twitter at gfienberg17. You can follow myself on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, places where you can watch the Sunday live show as well at the PME, 10 a.m. Sunday morning. Gary will be here. Tim will be on the line. Geoff will be watching from home.
I will be.
As he does now.
I do.
Stop tweeting peacocks at me.
No, never stop tweeting peacocks at Tim ever. Did you see all the ones calling him a fucking coward?
Well, because that was to get him to bet with you.
Yeah.
And then he bet with you and he lost.
That's right. But as I said, from now on, the bets we'll make are the ones I propose.
So we're never going to make a bet again.
Well, you may agree to the ones I propose.
No, because
You've never
Tim-
proposed a
Tim
bet on this
says
show in
outla-
7 years.
When Tim says an outlandish thing, he doesn't try to back it up with a bet. The bets come from you making him sort of
back up his outrageous claims.
outrageous
Yeah,
claims.
big shocker. And now he can't figure out how to use the microphone anymore.
I should have won that Humphreys one.
He didn't win the Humphreys one. Anyway, to get in the draw for $20 DK dollars, completely forgot what it was. Do you remember what it was?
Call him a coward?
No, it was name a show you'd like to see during the holidays.
All right, great. See, that's Tim's
Yeah,
plus EV
that
to
is
the
good.
show now,
That
just
is
for
good.
remembering that. So, like the episode, smash the like, leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section, and let me know. It was like 3 hours ago. It was weeks ago, Tim. Shows that you would like to see for over the holidays or into the new year when we might not be in here filming every day. We can film a few in advance so you have some new content, or just leave an audio review with your DK handle. Wherever you listen to the audio podcast, you can be in a draw for 20 DK bucks. Thanks for sticking with us. Hope you enjoyed the show. Good luck in week 14. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience! Experience!